time is now.
NUFC Early Night News with Gary the Geordie Yam Yam, Andrew Boaky, and Derek the Mighty Wind. Weekdays from 7:30 p.m. UK, 1:30 p.m. USA. NUFC Talk.
Good evening all. Welcome to NUFC Talk with myself, the Geordie Yam Yam. We've got the Mighty Win. And we've also got Boaky again with you today. Again, the extended version. There'll be no late show because Chris is still having his Thanksgiving jolly parties. So, like I say, he's unavailable as we speak. So we will be with you a little bit more than we normally are on the early show. Like we did last night, around about 10:15, 10:30, just when my kids are going off to bye-byes because they need their beauty sleep. A bit like myself, about 2 hours kip. Yeah, about 2 hours kip I've had in the last 3 days. It's been horrendous for me with my fibromyalgia. I'm really struggling just lately. I just can't get it under control. But we'll do our best. If you see me nodding off in the corner, everybody out there, just give us a toon, Bobby, something like that. Yeah, a bit of a nudge. That'll be cool. Suppose before we get into tonight's show, I wanted just to put this lad on there. 14 years since we lost Gary Speed. Great player for Newcastle, and you've just been saying very much the same. And for me, again, I've been watching lots of the reporters, close friends of Gary Speed, Leeds fans, all literally joined together. And you've just been talking about a little meeting that you've had with some like a family that have come up for the races, and again, Leeds fans. And it's times like these where we all come together a little bit, isn't it?
Indeed, and they have nothing but love for Gary Speed, as we do as well. They couldn't understand him going from Everton back to Newcastle because they thought he would have gone back to Leeds. And they were in for him at the time. But that was when we were sitting pretty with all the money in the world, Shearer, Ferdinand. And as I just saying to you, we only played 8 games with Shearer, Ferdinand, Gary Speed, and Nikos Dabazas in the same team, starting lineup. We won all of them because every corner was almost a penalty because the defence didn't have a clue how to mark. And that was when we went from the score from a corner, we'll never score from a corner, to virtually,
we always score from a corner.
The cheers that went up when we got a corner because you knew something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it did.
Yeah, amazing player for me. He's one of them standout players for me. He was a general, but he was a gentleman with being that general, if you like, in the middle of the park. Signed in '98. He became the mainstay.
Well, I'll be honest. I wasn't happy when we signed him because, of course, we signed him as a left winger from Everton to replace David Ginola, who wasn't a Kenny Dalglish player. That was when Dalglish dismantled Keegan's whole side. You can go through them all. He sold Beresford, bought Pistoni, sold Clark, bought Hamilton, who he sold Asprilla and Ferdinand bought Anderson and Thomason. Who were they? Although, to be fair, John Dow did go on to have a stellar career away from us. But in sold Ginola and bought Speed. And the crowd, to be honest, didn't take to him at first because of the very reason that he'd replaced Ginola.
Yeah, exactly.
But it
Ginola
didn't
was one of
take.
my favourites.
It did not take long to get everybody on board, and I mean, to me, that also transitioned with him going from left wing to midfield, where he became a bit of a legend, you might say.
You might say. Was he around for your early days, Boaky, or were you a little bit too young for that one?
I wish I was a bit too young for that
one. I was trying to give you a compliment, lad.
No. I just echo what Wynne said. Great player, fantastic servant for the club, and I think the thoughts have to be with these two lads at this time. When these sort of anniversaries come up, it'll be hard for them lads as well. So, just I think all thoughts with his family, and it's something you'll never get over. But I think that at least they've got memories to look back on it. How much he was loved by so many people.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I mean, for me, you signed in 98, like I say, and I think he just under 300 appearances, something like that, wasn't it? About 290 appearances, around about 40 goals from him from midfield. But it wasn't like I say, it wasn't just his contributions, scoring goals and things like that. It was his excellent position play. He was calm on the ball. He got an eye for goal from midfield. Traits that most, his value was for me more of he's like a defensive midfielder at times. And he went through some great attacking phases with that ball as well. Carried the ball really well. And like I say, all his teammates really praised his work ethic on the field of play and his leadership, if you like. It's sadly missed. But like I say, first part of the show, just wanted to send our regards and best wishes to his family. Like I say, he's long. He's been gone for 14 years, but he will never be forgotten. Not in my eyes, anyway.
Long remember.
1 in 4 GA. 285 games, 39 goals, 21 assists.
Yeah, there you go. Like I say, from that midfield, back in them, it was 4-4-2, wasn't it, really? So, like I say, he was a driving force. He's box to box. He's just an absolute legend for me. Right then, let's get on with the show before we get any further. So, welcome to all that's watching across the platforms. Thanks to all the mods that work in the background. Don't forget, people out there in viewer land, smash that like button for us. It helps us get further as a channel to other members. Subscribe, it's totally free.
Costs you nothing.
Absolutely. Hit that bell button for future content. Like I say, 30-minute warning when we come live. Always live, never edited. If you want to support us, you can become a member if you would love to do so. Again, that supports us massively. But again, do so only if you can afford to do that, because obviously Christmas is around the corner. If you've got a question for any of us in the panel, then put a Q in front of that question. We'll do our best to get to it. But again, try and support us. We won't show everybody because we just can't. We ain't got enough time. But if you do want to guarantee it, then throw us a Talk TV super chat. Follow the $ instructions, and that'll guarantee your message read out. And anybody that becomes a member during the show, or any of our beautiful members that gift them out there, will also be thanked and highlighted as we go. Apologies if you can hear my phone dinging. I usually have it on silent. But I've been having a video conference call with my lad's school in readiness for his college. Right. So, I mean, let's start, I suppose. We've got the way I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to do some early news because obviously, usually Chris does the news and stuff like that, and we on the early channel usually concentrate on the Everton game, and the game approaching. So what I thought I'd do, I'm going to swap it around a little bit. So I think now what we'll do the news, get the news out of the way. We'll have a look at Hope's Confidential, and then we'll do a little bit of a brief look at the Everton game coming up this weekend. Another late start for the boys. So it's going to be an interesting one. So let's have a look at
Is that going to be as beneficial to Everton as 5:30 kickoffs are to us?
Ooh, in their new stadium.
Well, in the new stadium, and they've got all afternoon to get
jolly,
fired up for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes a big difference compared to like a 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday, which I hate.
Yeah, absolutely.
The crowd is always seems to be dead compared to a 3 o'clock or a 5:30.
I can't wait to see what their new stadium's like in regards to a match atmosphere.
Yeah, well, the reports that I've had, and I'm sure if Shelley's with us tonight, the Toffee Blue, she'll give you some info on that. The reports that I've had, it's quite decent when you listen to the crowd. They do get going. I'm going to start tonight's show on obviously the reports that we are contemplating getting Antonio Cordero back in January. But the reports are suggesting, and again, I don't know how true this is, the reports are suggesting they have to obviously make an agreement with the Belgian side anyway, Westerlo. It's not just going to be a case of, well, you aren't giving him the game time. They have to agree with it because, again, in the contracts, there's no clauses for him to come away if he's not hitting a certain point. But again, what makes me crazy in my mind at the moment is the fact that they're looking to get him out on loan straight away in January. They're not even going to look at him. They're going to literally cart him out to another club. And again, they're looking at La Liga. Hopefully that somebody in La Liga can come in. There's lots of interest apparently for this kid from La Liga. I mean, we know when we were vying for him, Real Madrid and Barca were having a look at him. And he decided to come to Newcastle because obviously he thought he was going to get more first team experience. And this has a feeling for me, and I go back to the Brighton situation, if you like. This has a feeling for me that we are cash cowing these kids now. We are expecting them to go out on loan, get a performance, make a little bit of a name for themselves, put themselves in a shop window, and it's an easy $5, if you like, without even wearing a shirt, without even wearing the black and white shirt. I mean, I hope I'm totally wrong, but this to me, the way it feels and the way our season's gone regarding wing play, because again, it hasn't been brilliant when you look at the likes of Harvey Barnes and Murphy being the only two that are singing from the hymn sheet. It's got Minte all over it. What do you guys think?
Well, personally, I think it's the professional way to go about it. I know what you're saying, and it doesn't feel right, and it sits in the gut of your stomach that you don't want to do this to players. But because of the way the Premier League and the UEFA have set up these rules around being able to spend, you've got to do it. It's a horrible situation to be in because you don't want players just to be commodities. But to now, I think that's kind of what some of them are. You're going to buy a commodity that you can add value to and then move on.
Yeah, I agree to that.
That's the way the academies are working right now. All of the top academies. And by the way, we are light years behind them.
Yeah. We are.
But they are basically footballer factories. You buy them cheap, you develop them, be it in your own youth system or on loan, and you sell them. And as you said, Gary, it's a cash cow.
Yeah, listen, I am all for, moving players on that aren't going to feature in a black and white shirt. If they're not good enough and there's no potential for them to be set up in the plans of Newcastle United, then fair enough, I understand it. But when you haven't had the opportunity, and that's why I said, have we got another Minte situation going on here? Because, again, we've all seen what Minte's gone and done at Brighton. He's actually, I mean, I'm not saying he's tore up trees, but he's actually hit the ground running in the Premier League. And we've gone and spent blooming good money on players that are struggling, even though these are Premier League proven. Should we not, and again, I only go back to say, should we not, with the amount of games that are coming thick and fast, and that's something we're going to approach in a little while, should we not actually just look at him and see if the lad can play at this level? You know, we all saw what Park could do with the young lad who didn't really understand English and still doesn't, I don't think. But he just come in and he enjoyed his football. He looked busy. He looked fresh. And he was a breath of fresh air in the pre-season, I must admit, because it was a bit of a dire few games. And that's what I'm looking at. Should we not just say, with all the games that are coming up, and I know somebody's just put in the side, it's Kenny, not just Cordera. There was three of them. Yeah, there is, mate. But I'm just saying, Cordera seems to be the one that is being pushed out there to obviously get that experience. And Boaky's 100% right. It is what you do. I love that one. By Sensible Monica.
Amiobi sends Cordero out to the dog and duck till the end of the season.
Love it. And that's a worry to me, especially, like I say, when we've got the amount of games coming up. Now, I know, like I say, a lot of them he's not going to be involved with, right? Because obviously, if there is a chance of him coming back, it's not going to be available until January. A lot of the games will have gone by then. But that's where you pick up injuries. That's where you pick up your niggles and things like that. And again, we talk about depth of squad. We talk about have we got the quality within that depth. Well, width-wise, I would question mark that. I don't think we do. And that's literally where I am. Connor's just throwing something in there. Look.
Yeah.
Cadena Deportivo La Coruna are closing on the loan signing of Newcastle United. There you go. So that's exactly what I'm saying. There is loads of. Well, I've been told there's up to 3 La Liga teams, and that's where they want to push him because he's going back to obviously his home country. He's going to obviously be able to relax and enjoy a bit of football. But I just think Newcastle could be allowing a kid to go before they've had a chance to see the fruits of the tree, and that's where I stand with it.
How long is David Hopkinson's CEO tenure? You know, we've had the 100-day review. How long is it going to take to decide that Godlum Shola is not the guy who should be in charge of our loan arrangements?
Well, I think if you look at them, it should have took about an hour, never mind 100 days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say, Gary, if we did bring him into the back in and put him in the youth setup or wherever he would go, do you think Eddie Howe would actually give him a chance?
But well, you know, the first of all, you've just mentioned Susung Park.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's who he's up against.
Yeah, I know.
You know, yet another left winger.
Yeah, I know, mate. But what I'm saying is this lad, I mean, there's people saying, like, you know, Kenny saying again, Cordona can't even make the squad there. Not everybody fits into everybody's shoes. That's the idea of trying to find the right place for him to go. And there was other teams that this lad could have gone to. They chose specifically for him to go to Westerlo because they thought, and again, it's about due diligence with the likes of Amiobi, making sure that the foot goes into the shoe and it fits perfect. It's the Cinderella syndrome, you know. It's pantomime season. So
Westerlo wanted a left winger.
Yeah, Westerlo wanted.
That's what they bought him for.
And they said systems of play and everything else. They said it was there's more of an opportunity for you to get game time there, and he's fell out of favour for whatever reason. He's fell out of favour. Well, it's like what we've seen happening at our squad. If you're not playing, you don't get match sharp, you don't get match minded. So the game your game actually deteriorates rather than it gets better. So I think, like I say, they need to be very careful. If they are deciding, wasn't Ajax one of the teams in for Cardano? Absolutely, mate. And there's, like I say, there's a couple more. But I mean, again, where would you send him? I mean, would Ajax be the right place for him to go? Because Ajax are really struggling at the minute. Would he be guaranteed time? And I think that, to me, is the issue. It's more the issue of sorting out the contract, making the contract suit the situation. When you just send a player out on loan with nothing written down regarding guaranteed minutes, the gaffer, the coach to the team that he's going to, why should he develop somebody else's player when he's not forced to?
Can I be honest with this, Gary? With Amiobi and that the role he's got, obviously, is the loans guru squad. I don't think he's a legend from the club. I don't think he was particularly a great player. He was good to average at best, and I don't think he's been good in this role. I don't see why the club always seem to give him this big role, like this big sort of hero status. He means nothing to me. I mean, yeah, he played for when he was an okay player, but we've had loads of okay players over the years, even lads from the local area.
Mackham Slayer.
But I don't see why he was. But I mean, do you win? Is he one of your favourite players of all time, or do you rate him as one of the top ones?
Not at all.
No. I don't know why he's got this club legend status. He's not a legend. And as I say, he's not done anything in this role really.
Well, he has. He's been a good social event person.
Well, yeah, that's exactly
that is exactly what he's done.
Yeah,
he's been the face of Newcastle. You look at the Japan tour.
He's been the face of Newcastle in a lot of kind of high key events, which the club run. He's one of the faces.
Yeah.
That are put forward because nobody else
wants to do it.
Nobody else wanted it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his name got pulled out of the hat. It was like, oh, Amy, it's you.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, sensible moniker. Shoulder ticks an important box. Yeah, I wonder whose that was. Right then, let's have a look at the other one. Crystal Palace now, obviously, we spoke about it yesterday, are heading the field into the January window for Joe Willock. Oliver Glasner apparently is looking to improve his midfield, and he's looking for somebody of a more forward-thinking player. Obviously, his bigger issue at the minute is to try and keep hold of his best players. Jean-Philippe Mateta and Adam Wharton are both in demand, and he's trying to get them on extended contracts. But Glasner also wants to improve the squad in January because he wants them to finish in Champions League places. That's the ambition for Crystal Palace. And I mean, like I say, he's got them playing. Stranger things have happened. But the one thing that I found when I was reading this is an article from London World. They obviously look at Joe Willock as being the 26-year-old that can take them, a little bit stronger, make the squad a little bit stronger. And they quite rightly go on and say, he's expected to cost upwards of £20 million in January. Despite his lack of game time, Willock is admired by Howe at Newcastle. The Newcastle manager was quoted by the Newcastle World after a defeat against Brentford before his international break. He said, naturally, I think our midfield does have a different complexion with him in the team. Joe does add a running and athleticism that maybe we don't have without him. I was delighted with his contribution. But Palace don't want to or just sump out the money. They want a player swap. And they're looking at swapping Kamada for Willock. Now, Kamada's a 29-year-old guy, a Japanese player. Do you think, looking at that scenario, 26-year-old centre midfield, attacking midfielder, call it what you want, for a more defensive midfield or defensive-minded midfielder. But the one thing that I got from this was that commercial business. in Japan? If we got Kamada on board, does that give you a bigger commercial business revenue in Asia than you would have if you hadn't got him?
Probably, but do we want to prioritize commercial revenue
Of a squad.
over the squad?
What do you lose? That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Yeah, great. You're going to get some fan involvement from Japan, but is he good enough?
Yeah.
If you were talking about Willock as a make weight for Wharton, for example,
Yeah,
I'd
plus
say,
cash type of thing.
yeah, let's have it.
Yeah, and I think it's,
But
look,
the
Adrian Pickett
fact
there.
that
Can't
the
we
fact
swap
that
Willock for Glasner?
the fact that Palace are, no, let's not go down that road yet. But the fact that that Palace are thinking Kamada instead of Willock
Yeah,
shows you where their mindset is.
yeah.
And by the way, there'll be massive competition for Wharton.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there already is, isn't there? You know, you look at some of the players, teams that are out there. I mean, you know, the likes of the Chelseas, Man U's, the usual characters. They're all vying for his signature.
I don't see
Let's have a
anything.
go on,
I
mate.
don't
Sorry.
see anything. Sorry. Firstly, I think we should point out for anybody listening on radio, we have actually got Win in the studio, not Barry White. But
Mr. Lover.
yeah. What I don't see with that is anything.
Don't go changing.
Oh Jesus, what have I done? Anyway, I don't see anything in it for Newcastle United. Getting rid of a younger midfielder for an older one. We've got
That was the thing.
We've got an aging midfield anyway. If anything, we need to be bringing younger players in. So if we're replacing midfielders now, they have to be with better younger players. And that's a really hard thing to do, but that's what big clubs have to look to do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've had a look at this lad, and like I say, he certainly doesn't blow my frock up. He plays in, according to FOTMob, he's more of a defensive midfielder, but again, he can play as an attacking midfielder. You know, his pizza pie it isn't, you know, it's not the worst I've seen, but it's not something that, like you say, excites you. You know, his value is only 9.8, and like I say, are we going to do a straight swap, or is there any money involved? Because I'd be looking at that. Played 10 matches up to yet with a 7.8 rating
exactly.
after 843 minutes. So, like I said, it's not as if he's not had any, you know, he's not had a bit part in Crystal Palace. I mean, where are they now? They're fifth, sixth, or something like that at the minute. I know they could go second, I think, if they win the next game. I mean, they're having an amazing run. And like I say, you know, the lad has a little bit about him, but there isn't a lot here that I think, and as Boaky's just said, should we be looking at a 29-year-old and not bringing in younger players with a prospect rather than players coming to retirement? But like I say, the only benefit that this lad would give us is that financial clout. I don't think anything else would come of it. And like you say, he'd be definitely a bench player. I can't see him getting into the squad that we've already got. You know, you look at J7 and the like. I mean, would he actually get in the squad? I don't think he would. So it's an interesting one.
Or Ramsey and Maley.
Or Ramsey and Marley, yeah.
But from what you guys said, we've built up with squad now. So we've got the squad players in that we need. Now it's about improving the first team. So the next transfer windows have to be about actually improving the team, not just bringing bench players, not improving the squad.
Which is exactly why I would say I'd be more than happy to have Willock as a make weight for Wharton. We bring Wharton in as CDM, you know, and Eddie starts playing with a number 6. I think that massively improves our
I've said this
first
before.
team.
Yeah, I've said this before. When was the last time that you've seen
But
a
year
deal?
7.
When was the last time you've seen a deal like that where there was make weights put in place?
Mm.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't seem to happen nowadays.
Mm. Listen,
But we'll put Elliot Anderson as a make weight for Vlachodimos.
That worked out well.
I think that the thing is, like, say, Glasner's like purse is probably a little bit tight, so he'll be looking at players that he looks. And again, we spoke previously about this. For me, the 2-year contract. If nobody, when they reach that 2-year, has a history, that's good. But then when you look at the future contents of what they can bring to Newcastle, if it's not there, get rid of them when there's an option of money coming back. We've got to stop being this club that just gives players away when they're ending their contract. It's a pointless exercise. I'm just looking here because I've just seen some news that Anthony Gordon's. Oh, it's just about his form. I thought there was somebody coming in. Okay. I thought there was going to be some type of player swap for Anthony Gordon, which I was more inclined to accept the way he's going at the minute, but it's nothing.
Hello! The fun's about to start.
Oh, here he is, Jeffo.
What's happening,
He's in
people?
the building.
What's
How are
happening?
you, dude?
I'm good, thank you. I'm just running my old body playing football tonight.
Oh, bless you. Listen, the last time I played Sabutia, my nail was bruised for a while.
I got a feeling it was Sabutio, bro. You were flicking something else.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's called The Bean, but that's on a different show. Right, well, you've lost my train of thought altogether now with you coming on board doing that. That's killed me. Where was I? Right then, let's get into the Craig Hope. Let's Jeffo. What's your thoughts on players coming back off loan and then being moved back out to another club? Literally, again, I've got the Minte feeling on board that we're just trying to sell players at the moment. We're coming up to a really busy part of the season for me, and it's something I'm going to come on to in a sec. But when we look at it, should we not be just looking at these players before we get them back out there? That's if these clubs. I mean, there's 3 of them, isn't there? There was Travis Hearns, Sanusi, and Cordero that are all being recalled because they're just not getting the game time. And I'm not saying that Travis Hearns is going to get anywhere. I don't think Sanusi is going to get anywhere. So I don't mind potentially getting them back out on loan because I can't see them.
I had high hopes for Sanusi at one stage.
Yeah, he's nothing. I mean, from what I've seen, mate, he's very weak. He can get bounced off the ball quite easily. He's got lots of pace. He can beat a player, but he hasn't got that end product for me. But for Cordero, from what again, I can only say what I've seen at Malaga. I haven't seen anything, from this side of the water, if you like. So I don't know how he would be looking forward. So, do you think that we should just have a look at these lads before we, just get them back out on loan, or should we just look at them as saying this is going to be experience? Go and try and find a club that's going to benefit them.
Yeah. First of all, good evening, lads. And sorry I've come in late. Yeah, good to be back on. I think it's an interesting.
You've got a fan, Ronnie Omelets, in there saying, "Big up Jefferson, you've been right all along. Not
Big up, Ronnie.
Fit for purpose."
I love that in big capitals as well. Let them see
indeed.
That. Yeah. Big up. Yeah, I think there's no problem in bringing them back and then having a look at them because, you never know. Although they're not getting much game time within that training setting, they may have developed somewhat. Remember, if they're young, they're going through puberty, they're spending time in the gym, some muscles are growing, etc. We saw the growth that Miley had, isn't it? He shot up inches, more muscle mass attained and things like that. So it may be something, the aesthetics we can work with. Travis Hearns got some minutes in pre-season. if I remember correctly, I think when he came on against, was it Celtic, even though we were
Celtic.
getting smashed, I actually thought he did all right for the 15, 20 minutes he had. And Denmark is, big adults football. Obviously, again, the standard probably isn't quite there, but we've seen historically with Elliot Anderson, he went to Bristol Rovers, League One standard, and you would think the gap is there, but that was the catalyst he needed to then push on. So there's nothing wrong with kind of getting them back, having a look, and then putting them out again. But there's no rush with that in terms of putting them back out, because obviously we have some time ahead before the end of the window. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think Cordero was a prospect. There's a
Absolutely.
talent there, so we just need
Yeah.
to find the right club for these players.
Well, you don't get the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona looking at you if they don't see anything in you, do you? And that's what I said. For me, there has to be something in this lad for the likes of those big clubs to come and have a look at you. So maybe
we've got Boaky putting in the chat. Jefferson in the house as well. Should we go easy on Win?
Okay,
But was a good old Warren saying I'm back up for Win, Boaky, so step carefully, bro.
I got something to say. How we getting on in the prediction league, lads?
all right. Come on, calm down.
Well, you're sitting second, bunny lad.
Yeah, man.
You are. I am. I've got to start leading with my head rather than my heart, I think.
You turn into the dark side, Gary. The force is strong with you, my man. I see it.
I am your father.
We've got to go with that then. Go on, carry on, gents.
Okay, carry on. Right then. So Craig Halp's been out on having his confidential. Right at the end of this confidential, we're going to come on to another topic. And like I say, we'll go through them individually. And first of all, he's talking about Wissa, obviously training with his teammates for the first time since his arrival. Obviously, I think this will come too soon for the Everton game, but it looks very interesting going forward. And I think this is where, we could potentially see that little bit of extra oomph from Newcastle in the coming weeks because of his inclusion now. Like I say, starting to run on the grass. We knew he was individually training. Now he's working alongside his teammates. That level of intensity is going to be there. They'll have checked his knee throughout. So that's got to be a massive bonus for the lads going forward, knowing that he's literally, the door's ajar for him to get involved. Any of you? I mean, what's your thoughts? Come on. Don't leave me hanging. I feel like I've just thrown my hook in the water.
Leave him hanging.
It makes him uncomfortable.
You're on about the dark, going to the dark side.
Oh.
What? Oh. Here we go.
Oh, no. No. Oh, my days. I just got that. Got that as well. I just got that.
You should have put the one from Celtic on as well. It's over here. No, it ain't. It's there.
Oh, my gosh.
It's over my head. Oh, Jesus.
Can we move on from that match?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, we've got to get Jefferson's thoughts on that one.
What, the clanger?
How many do you want to talk about?
Well, the match in general. Because we haven't had your thoughts yet on the Marseilles game. What do you reckon?
Did you not watch 90s, Mags?
That's it, people. Tune in. Our partner channel. Let's do this. No, I mean, look, listen. It's a frustrating one. I thought obviously we started well, and it felt to me like the success we had against Man City with the counter-attack, Eddie was looking to do that. But unfortunately, we didn't use the squad well in terms of rotation. So, for example, straight away in midfield, we could have put a Ramsey and a Miley in just for those fresh legs. Because for players like Bruno and Tonali to go again, they're not going to have it in the tank. Looking at tactical changes, you look at Murphy. Again, he didn't have it. He should have come off earlier. We need, away from home, you need someone that's going to hold up the ball. You've dropped Voltemada. he's got this obsession with Anthony Gordon. It's been 2.5 years he's playing him at false nine. It's not working. It's not working. So it's ramming head against brick wall time. What is going on here? And I just think there's only so many repetitive mistakes you can make. The Botman thing, I have no idea what's going on. And I hope it doesn't end up being an ESAT situation where he's just, going to be edged out the club. But it's very evident where once he puts Share in, he's gearing it up to then put Burn at left centre back. That's what he wants. He doesn't want Botman in there. And I just think, I use that word that seems to trigger win, but this ego that Eddie has is a real detriment to our progress going forward. And it's going to be the sword he falls on, unfortunately. I think the other thing is, we talk about Eddie learning and needing to learn. And it's weird because he's taking risks or doing erratic things that he wouldn't even do, like putting Miley at right back, for example. But he's missing the simple things that you would expect him to do. So, for example, away from home, he's trying to play counter-attack. That fits Elanga. We've been talking about Elanga not fitting our playing style. That was the game to play him in, probably, if we're going to sit deep and hit him on the break. But then you come on and then you bring Miley on at right back. So it's like you're not even doing the simple things that we'd expect you to do. Even in the game, you've seen that Harvey Barnes is more clinical from the middle. You see it's not working with Gordon. So even if you want to keep Gordon on, switch him around. Do something. So it's very much nearing the end for me now. And people that are clinging on, I'm not sure why, because it's not good what we're seeing. And the win against Man City, as I said, one swallow doesn't make a summer. So there we go.
Listen, what you
pointed out there, it is becoming more and more difficult to cling on, as you say.
I think the big problem the club have is how they're going to peel win out with that T-shirt if Eddie does get sacked.
Yeah,
my goodness, Jeff, some bean tickler that.
Boy, this show is X-rated now. Love it.
I'm going to say, we're not even past the threshold yet, lads. Be careful.
It's not the watershed yet. Oh my God.
Come on. Keep it. A little bit on the right side.
We've got into culinary.
Yeah.
Bit what could you? Lines?
Yeah, exactly. You can't beat a bit of talent.
No, I didn't understand the lineup. I didn't understand the changes. I didn't understand anything.
There was a lot of question marks because I was listening.
And yet, if you look at what could have happened, didn't happen. I honestly think if it hadn't have been for Pope's moment of madness, it could have been a completely different game.
I totally agree with that.
We suddenly brought the crowd back to life, and everything changed. The momentum changed. Everything changed.
Could have, would have, should have win. Could have, would have, should have.
Yeah, exactly,
goals
exactly.
Change games, didn't they? And momentum. Goals change games,
and then when it did happen, again, I couldn't understand. The in-game management, which I've criticised many, many times in the past. I could not understand that at all. It's a simple change, as Jefferson's just said there. Put Gordon on the wing, put Barnes in the middle, which is, if anything, is what I would have started. If you're not starting Voldemort, for me, it would have been either Barnes or Elanga even in the middle, but not Anthony Gordon again.
But come on, Win, stop calling Howe out this much. I mean, 2 Champions Leagues, the Cup in the last few years,
Yeah, and that's still the credit in the bank that he's got.
He's on his way, Boaky. Don't dissuade him. He's on his way.
It's coming.
He's teetering on the edge.
I'm on the same edge that I've always been. I still trust Eddie to somehow turn it round.
So what evidence? I asked you this last night. What evidence you got out of that win?
Not a lot. And the evidence is diminishing. For the evidence for the defence is diminishing by the second.
Did any of you guys see the Liverpool PSV game?
Yeah.
I saw the
And
goal.
what did you now? Do you
Well, I'm
understand
saying
what
I
I
saw
say
it.
about?
I had it on
control?
while we were watching.
Yeah, that's what I said about controlling games. You don't have to chase a game when you're winning. You chase a game when you're losing, and that's what I said. When they are losing, they have to make more of a gamble, and that's why I said that's when you control it. That's when, like Jeff, I was just said there, you put on the likes of Alanga, who can break lines with pace, because it makes them go back another 10 yards, which opens up a little bit more space in the midfield. Everything starts to trigger because you're starting to worry about what could happen on your shoulder if you're not careful. So, again, for me, it was that in-game management just wasn't there. And, like I said, I don't want to see anybody getting the sacked, but I also want to see Newcastle, be as good as we can be. And at the minute, with all the things that are happening, we are very doubtful now with our next few fixtures, and we'll come on to that, to finish in the top 8. And that is going to be instrumental to where we finish, I think, in the Premier League. So let's see what happens going forward. There's obviously news come out of Newcastle, on a less positive note, if you like, that the injuries to Kieran Trippier could keep him out for up to 4 weeks. So obviously, after the win against Man City, he wasn't involved in anything. He's picked up this strain, apparently in training last Friday. It's slightly more serious now than they thought. The prognosis of 3 to 4 weeks has now been returned by the specialists. That will keep Trippier out for the next 4 matches at least. And in the worst case scenario, he could miss around 8 in total. Again, as you get older, these things just don't heal as quick as you are when you were a kid. It also leaves him doubtful for the game at the Stadium of Light.
Gary, the other thing that's becoming concerning as well is, I talk about the lessons from 2 seasons ago is the player welfare. We're not looking after our players again. I talked about Tonali and Bruno being overused. Tino's just come back, rinsing him out again. So what do we do if he gets injured? Crafty, it seems like there's all this stuff going on about Copenhagen. I don't know if that move's going to happen, but apparently
he's injured.
Apparently he's injured. So now,
even though he was warming up, he was actually in the actual warm up, not the pre-match warm up. I'm on about the training session that they had at Marseille. He was actually involved in that, so he's obviously got something. Again, the same as Trippier has. So, like you say, what's happening to this
what's going
player
on?
welfare? Are they pushing them too hard?
Yeah, you have to trust the squad, and I think, like I said, I think I would support Eddie if he took risks. And I think fans would back him if he took risks and it didn't pay off, because there's some authenticity there. It's not necessarily desperation, but look into the academy players. Leo Shahar, you've got Ashby there. Time for them to step up. If they're not good enough, they'll try their best. We've been there with Matt Target. That's what you have a squad for. I'd rather that than rinse out the players we got, and then we run into problems in the back end of the season where players are just, out
when you need them. Yeah. And that's what I said. You've got a lot of games coming our way, and that's where you need to start moving the players around a little bit and giving them a breather.
I mean, things didn't go our way against Marseille, obviously, but why did he have 2 keepers on the bench? If he knew Trippier was injured, why doesn't he have, as you say, Ashby or somebody on the bench? And then if things are going the other way, you can give them 5-10 minutes at the end of the game and just start building them up into the squad. Instead, he puts 2 keepers on the bench. I'll never get that. Instead of putting a youngster on, bung a young'un on. And as I say, you wouldn't put them on in the position we're in. But as I say, if it had been a different kettle of fish and we'd been winning the game, you can give them that chance.
It Deserby did, though, Boaky. There's an example to learn there. Is it Bacola? I think he's 17 years old, isn't he?
17-year-old.
And he had a hand in the second goal. You have to trust the youth. You have to. I go back to you mentioned Cordero earlier, Gary. I think there's a few echoes to Jose Perez. And I remember, yes, we were in a desperate situation, but Pardew called up Perez. He was meant to be a developmental player at the time, but we had nobody up front, and the rest was history. Never looked back. Sometimes you just got to take those risks. You know,
Yeah,
it's a results game.
yeah, you're right. But like Connor's just sent me a text saying the problem is Ashby's not mentioned in the Champions League team
Squad.
in the list in the
He's not
squad.
registered, so it
So
has
he's
to
not
be an
registered.
academy player,
So
then,
it's
isn't
a
it?
young
It has to
yeah.
be an academy player. So
But
and that's the trouble, isn't it?
That still doesn't justify, for me anyway, 2 keepers on the bench.
No,
Ever.
definitely not.
There should never be 2 keepers on the bench.
Put an academy player in. Could you imagine the stories they would go back with to the academy? You know, this player does. I spoke to this player. And I know they see each other anyway, but you know, I think it's probably a different atmosphere in a match day squad. So I just think that the experience they would get and the stories they would take back to that team would maybe give them the motivation to try that little bit harder and thinking, oh, well, I hope it's me next time that gets into the squad.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, it's all about confidence as well. I mean, don't get me wrong. With Max Thompson being on the bench, you know, he is an academy player. He's not the best keeper I've ever seen, to be fair. But that's good. It's great experience for them. I'm not denying that. But like I said, I don't see any point when you are so light in certain areas where you've got major injury issues, and now we've got literally one left back and one right back in the whole squad that is fit to ready to go. So there isn't, when you say there's no pressure on Eddie Howe now, there's a lot of pressure on them kids because they have to perform Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, you know what I mean, type of thing. They've got to just keep going because there's no let up for them, especially for the next 4 weeks.
But this was a point I was trying to prove with Win the other day about we have got to rotate this season. When Win's saying play the same team week in, week out, week in, week out, you can't do it in this type of season. You've got to rotate. And you can't worry
No,
about
with you.
Can't worry about rotating because that's why we bought these extra players so that we had a squad to do that.
I agree with you. You've got to rotate. I just wouldn't have rotated on Tuesday.
But then you would have got Everton.
That to me was that was the more important game of the two for me. I was in a massive minority in thinking that, but the way the result went has proven that all of a sudden now, instead of being almost guaranteed top 8 in the Champions League and the potential 40, 60 million that would bring, there's now a chance because we've got PSV, who've just beaten Liverpool, Leverkusen, who's just beaten Man City, both away from home, and PSG away.
We might be out.
Yeah.
And we could be, instead of being sat pretty, if we played a full team yesterday, and if you like, throw Everton, and I'm not saying, as you said, Boaky, I'm not saying you're throwing the game, but put your best team out on Tuesday, get the points, get the momentum, keep it going to take into the Everton game. That was my argument.
Yeah, I know you. I know what you were saying, Win. And like I say, there is a point to that. If you're looking in hindsight, but again, what we were saying is it's all about game management when it comes to European competitions. And when you've taken the lead because you've managed to get them huffed and puffed a little bit, you've got a little bit of a great deflection that's come fall into your feet. You've scored from it, and then you potentially could have had a second or a third. And then you just sit on the edge of your box until half time. You go in 1-0. The last thing I expect is to start seeing 8 players from our kickoff, not their kickoff, our kickoff, to go and sit on the edge of their box in the attacking third and leave us wide open at the back. Not away from home, not in a European competition, and as you say, was so important. It's as if for me, it was as if to say, it doesn't matter, lads. Just enjoy the day. You know, we're here. Let's enjoy it. Go and play your football. That isn't the way to coach a team in Europe. That's what I feel frustrated with.
And I think the other point is as well that no matter what team we played, if Pope has that Forrest Gump moment of just running out the box aimlessly, then whatever defender was on the pitch wasn't going to be able to stop the player doing what they did.
No. And that's what I said. It doesn't matter what players come in. It doesn't matter what style of play, what formation you pick. When you've got that mentality, which is being led by the coach to go and just get another goal, just go and kill it off. You've silenced the crowd. The crowd have gone. You're winning the game. Why chase the game? That's what I said. You've only got to go and watch PSV. As soon as Liverpool got that goal back, it was a case of, well, Liverpool are going to come at us now. Let's just hang on. And then it was break. And they murdered Liverpool. And that's where I look at this game and I'm thinking, why are you still chasing a game when you're 1-0 up? And you've got 8 players so high up the field, leaving a 36-year-old, virtually a free run. And like you say, Bakola's ball, young 17-year-old, not being funny, with the amount of space that the lad had, me at 58 could have passed that ball through. You don't have to be 17 to do it. And that's what I'm saying. To me, Eddie Howe is learning, and he's got to learn sharp, quick, because if not, what was a good
campaign?
He shouldn't be
campaign.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Everybody's giving him the excuse. He's still very raw, still very naive when it comes to European competition. He's not played there as a player. He's not actually played there, apart from this is his second season in the Champions League. So when it comes to European competition, it takes a lot more than that. 2 years, 2 seasons to be involved in Champions League, to understand European football.
Shouldn't be a club that's here to teach a manager how to play European football. If he's not good enough, get somebody in who is.
He's not at the level we need right now, I think.
No,
and that's evident.
And that's where we go, isn't it? It's like a case of, I can understand the pros and cons. If you look at, your SWOT analysis and all this, and I'm sure they've been going through it all. And this is why I said, they're probably on exactly the same yo-yo performance as us fans are when you're in the back. You get that high from Man City, which is a massive catalyst. So everybody puts the arm around the gaffer. What a tactical shift that was. Brilliant way of working your team. Well done, son. And then their expectations, and again, that word has to be, I think, highlighted in bold, because that's what we're all expecting, is that shift, that mentality shift. But again, unless you make the changes, you are playing 72 hours after you've thrown absolutely everything at Man City. So mentally, you're drained. Physically, you're not going to be 100% at your best. And he makes 3 changes. And I'm like, what are you really trying to do? And when I saw the formation, the 5 at the back and the 4 in front of it, I'm thinking, he's going for the draw here. He's just going to try and block them out. And hopefully, with Gordon up top, hit them on the break. But when I saw Gordon so far deep, it was like, where are you going again? It doesn't make any sense.
But why does he play him there?
Oh,
Why does he play? It's never worked. Statistically, we've never won a game with him there. And at the moment, Nick Pope, I think that I saw a stat saying his mistakes has led to 5 goals already this season. So he needs to be dropped. If I see Pope in that team, he should be done. Like Eddie's done. Because for me, you have to lay down the law and say the standard you're playing at the moment isn't good enough for the team. You're letting us down. You've been a go-to person in the past, but your form's off. Take a couple of games off. Ramsdale's in. Simple as. Or
Let's get a couple of super chats in, Jeffo, please. Very surprised Boaky didn't suggest Wagner for Eddie. And Tony T, thank you, Tony, is saying the problem with that, Gary, is most of our front men couldn't score in a brothel. Otherwise, we would have been 3 up at half time with the breaks we had.
Yeah.
And that's been the problem all season, to be fair.
It has.
be
But
fair,
again,
Gary,
you're
on the
not
point-
chasing the game.
no,
Finishing with dinner.
on the point you made, Gary, about when we went all out attack straight after the second half, we do that on the knowledge that we haven't got anybody up front who can score. We've got to
Well,
go and play
as
there who
Tony,
can't score. So you're putting all your eggs in one basket if you say
yeah.
going all out attack understand that you've got nobody there that's actually going to put the ball in the onion net.
Yeah, but we aren't analysts at all. None of us in this panel are analysts, right? But the information that me and anybody in this panel can get is there and plain to see. I use Opta, other people will use other platforms. It's common knowledge to everybody what your output is, right? So for me, he must know that it's a massive gamble. And I mean, Jeff, I was quite right. Why didn't you play Barnes up there? And we've been talking about it for ages. He's the one that seems to be quite competent in front of goal. But there ain't no reasons why you can't just have it in and out. You don't always have to have one man up top, especially if you want to share the load. If Barnes is feeling a bit knackered because he played against Man City, then Gordon, I'll swap with you. Let me have a breather. Give people an opportunity to actually get involved in the game in certain positions. Because again, you're not losing anything. And the other thing is it confuses the opposition defence. Because if they've got a set out tactic as I'm going to go man to man, and your player then goes and sits out on the wing, well, who then chooses that role? Who do you play then in that system? Do I come out to him? And we saw that, if you look, we went man for man in the first half, direct from their kickoff, and it worked in our attacking third. The problem is when you saw us go off the second half, we still had that mentality. You still had Dan Burn, Tino, just behind him, literally within 5 yards, marking the same player. So there was one player being marked by two, which made Bacola completely and utterly free. And Tonali then has to leg it back, So it was multiple. It wasn't just one thing that was wrong. It was multiple things because of this ideology, if you like, of only being able to play one style of football. And I just can't understand when you're not chasing the game, why you have to do that. Why not just control it? And even if it means every time you get the ball, you just kick it to them in their defensive third, then do it. Because they can't get past you. Let's make a black and white wall and just throw everything back at them. You're not getting past me. And to me, that just didn't quantify with my head. But like when you're commentating, you don't see the game for its true self because you're looking at other things. So I have to go back and watch it all over again, which was a sorry thing to do. In the you're not really up for it.
But Gary,
next piece of news.
He has a very interesting comment from Hells, from Sean. I said today that if Pope is named as keeper versus Everton, I'm done with him, meaning Eddie, because he's very much Eddie in the same as I am, is Hells. And I will be, very much in the same boat. I am teetering.
You're teetering on the edge, as you said.
Is
there anything else anything else in the chat, Mighty, that we can have a quick look at before we drop on to that next spot?
Pope has cost us lots of points. Anybody got an invite? Everybody got an invite round Chris Gaff for Thanksgiving. If you can get to Missouri, you're welcome there right now.
Love a bit of that spread.
Oh, yes.
Bit of turkey.
Yeah, that's deep fried turkey. Ooh.
Pumpkin pie.
No, it'll be him with his mashed potatoes and rice. Oh, what a combination.
Well, I've heard he's having Yorkshire puddings as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You mean he's balloon bread?
He's balloon bread.
There's an Englishman in him yet.
Yeah, well, apparently he's turned to the dark side. We're going to have to call him Mick Summit.
Mac Rodriguez.
Mick Rodriguez, yeah.
No, yes, Flynn 410. Hello, I haven't seen you before.
Hi, Flynn.
How knows we struggle at Everton, and I reckon he'll play Ramsdale, chucking him under the bus to hush up, and then bring back.
Hey, that ain't a bad shout, you know.
That's smart. Yeah,
that ain't a bad shout.
Takes the pressure off, isn't it, from the fans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what he does then?
Look at
if
this,
we have
man.
a bad
Tangy Vivid is saying exactly what I said during the watch-along. I made a comment when Hall went over to the right wing to take the corner, and Gary Hughes said, all right, it's going to be an in-swinger.
Yeah.
And hit, didn't get a 4 foot off the ground and hit the first man.
Hit the first man, yeah, and they're on the counter straight away.
Tenali should have took it. He's automatically out of their counter-attack. Why are we doing things like this? This is your set-piece coach. But again, your set-piece coaching team, their plans, if you like, can only be implemented if the guy that's actually taking it does what he's supposed to do, which Hall patently didn't do.
I could be wrong, but with Arsenal, you notice it's always Saka and Rice, and that's it, isn't it?
That's it.
They don't deviate from that. Yeah,
no, never changes. I love Arsenal's setup on corners. I must admit, it's so good to watch them run from back stick to front stick, and it's not the same players always running to the front post. They change it up, and that's little flick-ons, little glances, and that's what I said. Newcastle, it's just so easy. Where's Dan Burn? That's what you've got to look at. Where's Dan Burn? Because that's who they're going to look for. So
and Dan Burn again and again. You've said this, Gary. At corners, I mean, two things for me at corners. A, when we are defending a corner, why not have?
I just read it.
Proper pie.
There's the man himself in the middle of his Thanksgiving dinner. No one is invited to my house. Stuffing myself with turkey barbecue ribs, yam, mashed potato, sweet potato pie, proper pie, and salad. But that's for the bin.
Where's haggis, Chris? Where's your haggis?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Chris.
Yeah, I'd say, mate. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Go on then, mate. What was you saying?
I forget what I'm saying now.
I'm thinking about that food, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What was I saying? How about 4-4-2? You can get Gordon, Baltimore, and Barnes up front.
Well, we've said that before. 4-4-2.
And Gavin, who's a regular contributor, says, I think he plays Gordon up front to try and help him score. That's why he give him the 2 pens, because his numbers are shocking.
Yeah.
And they are.
But it's funny, isn't it? In the Champions League, he's on exactly the same as Harvey Barnes.
But
I think Harvey went one ahead, didn't he, yesterday?
With those three up front, why doesn't he rotate? Not rotate them, sorry, but switch. And I've said this before. Switch them, especially if you're playing Gordon up front. Switch them around during the game. Make the defenders have something different to think about. So times have Barnes in the centre, have Gordon on the left, and Murphy on the right. Then
Murphy
left.
Just swap them.
Just play with the defenders' minds.
That's what I said. We're just so easy.
Rinse and repeat with the same players in the same positions.
And Gavin is saying that was the point we were on before we were so rudely interrupted. The fact that I'm saying from corners, defensively, we should have 2 men on the halfway line. That immediately takes 4 of their defenders back to cover them. If you've got Alanga and Gordon on the halfway line with their pace, they've got to drop men back to cover them, which is inevitably going to include one of their central defenders who's not going to be there to attack for them. And then when we've got a corner ourselves, Burn, instead of wasting them largely on the back post, put him on the front post and hit him on the front post, either to knock it into the goal or to get it into the area where there's going to be mayhem created.
But
I've got a
you see
miles better
the
idea than
beauty
that.
of
When
doing that.
pop him on the bench.
Yeah. It's 100% win ratio when he's on the bench.
100%.
That's 100%, mate. 100%.
When he doesn't play a game, we'll win every game.
You see, the beauty of having him on the front is you lose two players of theirs straight away because you'll have somebody in front of him and somebody behind him. So then you should, theoretically, have a spare man somewhere. And then you decoy is somebody goes short. Then all of a sudden it's like, well, who's going to go short now? So all of a sudden, if we've got two out there, they've got to send two out there. And it's who's doing what and what's doing who sometimes. And it's small things like that. And him being at the front post, throw it to the back stick to Voltemada or somebody else, you've taken people out of the game. You've just got to have movement. And like I say, all you see now with the Newcastle lot is WWE. That's what it reminds me of every time I see a set piece these days. It's just WWE. Let's stop the runs, which is something Newcastle will have to learn. That is a big thing for me. Newcastle have to be as cute as we are attacking in defence, and we've got to stop runs. The goals don't go against you if you stop the player from running, and he's just making yourself wide, and stop that run by hook or by crook, whether it's cheating or not. Everybody does it against us. I'm surprised that Dan Burn doesn't get into double figures the amount of corners we have per season when it comes to the size of him and the chances that we should be creating. But because he's the one that's highlighted all of the time and stopped from making a run, and then when you stop making a run, you can't get elevation off the floor, he's out of the game. He's actually becomes... And you saw how he can head a ball. We've seen two, one in the Cup and the one in the Champions League, two amazing headers. So it can happen. Right now, let's go on to the next one. Do you want to do that one? That's just you've done Wazzers, haven't you? 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Right, David Hopkins' internal audit of Newcastle workings is continuing at pace, according to Craig Hope. And the new club chief is set to add a strategy executive to the hierarchy. Strategy executive. It is thought Hopkinson has surprised to learn that the position did not already exist when he arrived in September, and his new hire will join him in the CEO's office. The senior appointment will also work closely with the football side of the club and be responsible for delivering special projects on time and within budget, which points to renewed progress on a new stadium and training ground. Brad Miller is currently the chief operating officer, but Hopkinson wants to beef up the executive team, and the senior associate strategy role is likely to emerge as his second in command inside St James's Park.
Wow.
Interesting.
Well, instead of appointing and creating a new position, why doesn't he first of all concentrate on improving the current position, which refers back to what was said before, which was Shola as loan manager? You know, that there's easier things to do than creating a new position and filling it than there is to, filling an existing position is the way I would look at it. Because our loan strategy is not fit for purposes, Paul Mitchell famously said, in my opinion. But I do think it's good that he's looking at the overall hierarchy, if you like.
Well, obviously, him being surprised that there was nobody in situ, I think you start to understand the type of job that he's got in front of him. So I think changing people that are already in place isn't on his list at the moment. He's getting people in to these roles that can take us forward. And then further down the line, I know it sounds crazy, and I know we have been struggling like mad for a few seasons now with Amiobi and the loan deals. But like I said, that doesn't affect the players that are first teamers. It only affects the academy players, and as much as it grieves me to say this, that is not where we should be concentrating on at this present moment in time.
Is anyone aware of any other club that has a chief strategic executive?
He just wants holidays, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He can be like, yeah,
who's
my
going to look
deputy.
after the cat when I'm away?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I love it.
In all
I love it, mate.
seriousness, what I think he's trying to do with the board and everything is build up enough people around him, and then he can go to him, he can speak to them all and say, right, which one of them's going to go and tell Eddie that he's sacked?
Oh my days!
He can call on me if we get beat off Everton, Spurs, and Burnley.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But like I say, I love the fact that we are now, we've got a CEO in place that's positive, and he's looking to make it. Sometimes when you look at jobs, right? What is the usual thing is to try and make the job easier rather than harder. And I think if you get everybody in a position that can do a job to their best ability, and instead of you doing 3/4 of that job to your ability, you might as well pass the buck. I often think when you brainstorm a situation, when you all come round a table, doesn't matter who makes the comment. Sometimes those small chinks can make it a bigger horizon. You can make a bigger setup from somebody else's input, and I think that is a very big plus for me regarding Hopkinson's role. I think having him and then having a strategic guy just to work on that strategy basis makes him concentrate on the jobs that he needs to do and what he works best as. Anybody else with anything from that one?
I was just trying to look at his achievements just to see, so we get an idea of things. And it says here that he was Real Madrid's global head of partnerships. So
Yeah, well, but as soon as I saw that before, I checked up on Real Madrid. Did they have a chief strategic executive?
did they?
And they didn't.
Oh, maybe it's from.
I also looked up Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
Chief strategic executive. Nothing came up.
But we're
other
not
than his name. And then I looked up Toronto
Maple Leafs.
Maple Leafs.
Were they there?
Chief, no.
But had they just had different names? I mean, you get people that do certain jobs, and they get it's ridiculous. Some of the names they give them. It's basically by the sounds of it, someone to be his number two, isn't it? It's basically saying.
Well, that's it. It's number two, isn't it?
Yeah.
More holidays, as Jeffo says.
Exactly. I mean, it literally is. A CSO, as they abbreviate it to, is a senior executive responsibility for shaping a company's long-term direction, identifying growth opportunities, ensuring strategic initiatives are executed across the organisation. The CSO translates to the CEO's vision into actionable plans, leads cross-functional strategy work, and monitors progress against strategic goals. So there you go. That's what his new role will be when he's in office. Interesting one.
That's what Punt Marks is saying, more typically called CSO in North America.
Yeah. All right. Okay. A chief strategy officer.
Interesting.
Indeed. Right then, this is going to be an interesting one from you guys because obviously this is the Toon heading for like a fixture crunch, if you like, and looking at potential schedule, if you like. Newcastle could end up going 32 games over a 4-month period and only having one midweek break out of the entire 4 months. And what I've been working on some number crunches today, this afternoon, while I was waiting for the telephone call. I've come to my computer and I've just thought, you know what? I want to look at what could possibly be the workload for our club going forward. So Craig Hope has virtually done a similar thing. Newcastle insiders are well aware of the potential schedule issued that awaits. Should they reach the Champions League last 16, Carabao Cup semi-final, the FA Cup 5th round? If so, it would mean 32 matches between now and the next international break at the end of March. Just 6 games shy of a full Premier League season. And should they return to Wembley for the Carabao Cup final to defend their trophy on Sunday, March 22nd, it would mean rescheduling the time and we're current slated for March the 21st. That would most likely mean a first midweek derby at St James's Park since the infamous 1999 clash when Ruud Gullit dropped Alan Shearer and quit after the 2-1 defeat. Do you think then, again, like I say, I've done some number crunching, so I'll go over that in a second. But again, you talk about like where we are regarding squad depth. We talk about where we are regarding what's important regarding match category. This is a major event. 32 games over a 4-month period. Potentially
At
more.
least.
At least, potentially more if we continue to get further. I think this could be a make or break part of this season.
This is quite interesting, and I'm sure you fellas know what's coming. Boaky, do you mind if I take the lead on this one?
Go on, mate.
I'm sure you guys up there, we're doing upstairs, downstairs today. You guys up there, you guys up there prepared a PowerPoint presentation on how we had the best transfer window ever, how it was the best squad ever assembled. And myself and Boaky tried to tell you guys, when you're spending on average £50 million a player, it's not a good window. When you're buying players that are filling the squad, but they're not challenging the first team who then become the squad, you get a stagnant team. And what we're finding is that we aren't equipped to deal with at least 4 competitions. So what happens is, if we're not scouting and getting a random Serbian for 20 million, a random South American for 18 million or whatever, you can basically get 2 or 3 players for what per one player that we bought. So instead of just getting 6, or take away Ramsdale because it was a bit of a loan, instead of getting 5 players, you can get maybe 9. You know, this sort of transforms the squad when we're having to deal with a high volume of games. So that's another thing that we haven't learnt from. So if we were to go back in time, what do you think? Hindsight's a beautiful thing, right? But I think Boaky and I read the picture. We saw the writing on the wall. Do you still think we had the best window ever and the greatest squad ever Newcastle ever assembled?
I think it's the strongest squad. I didn't say it was the greatest squad, but I think it's the strongest squad we've ever had. When I say, you see, for me, I know you guys will go on different panels, and your spiel comes from different ways. For me, I always want to tuck my bed under first before I straighten the top out. And that is where you get your depth. For me, there was never going to be anybody on that bench that was going to dominate or fight for a shirt in the starting 11. I wasn't 100% sure of some of the personnel that Eddie got in, but what I did notice straight away was it was a lot better than we had. Okay? So for me, yes, we've upgraded. Are they equipped to carry us forward? Well, they need to have game time. That is the other element to it. Eddie Howe's team, and I stated this, it's Eddie Howe's team that are now going to be viewed under Eddie Howe's mantle, not looking at Bruce's team anymore, like he took over and did us so proud, and getting us where we've got. These are Eddie's boys, apart from a couple. What Eddie has to do now, as he's bought them, is have a look at them, because we aren't seeing them. So from what we can see visually, you're absolutely right. They're not challenging for the first team. So why buy them in the first place? You could have gone and bought cheaper if you just want to sit them on the bench. But, are we now saying that these choices were wrong? Potentially, yes, from what I've seen from Elanga. But I had my doubts about Elanga from the outset. 55 million quid was a lot of money to spend on a player that doesn't suit the tactics that Eddie Howe puts forward. We questioned that from the start. I was totally unsure about Ramsey because, like I say, I mean, you've mentioned it a number of times. You're going and getting another Premier League team's reserve midfielder, not a first 11 midfielder. And again, I had never seen anything in Ramsey apart from bits and pieces that blew me frock up. That I wasn't going to go and say he's a definite number 11 in the squad. He wasn't that type of player from the outset for me. But I did think Elanga could have pushed us. I thought Elanga coming in was going to give us that drive down that right-hand side, that electricity, that a little bit of oomph that could make a difference. And it hasn't happened. I mean, Malik Chow's been outstanding. He's probably been the player out of all of the signings that you can say, you know what? That's the best bit of business you've done in the summer window. Because he now, if you look at everything, is on the earmark for Chelsea. Chelsea want Malik Chow, and they are willing to spend money on this lad. So it's an interesting way of dealing with it. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. And if I had a globe in front of me, I could make us European champions tomorrow. I haven't. You know what I mean? I haven't. So like I said, my comment was, you have to make your bed under before you top out. So the strength is there. Whether these guys ever get into the Eddie team, that's entirely up to Eddie. He chooses these players. He's pulled them in. It's up to him to play them.
So there's two things there. First of all, Jeff O said, we are not equipped for multiple competitions. So right now, we're 5 points off Champions League in the Premiership, one competition.
Oh my gosh.
Where we are qualified in the Champions League, second competition.
Hey?
We're in a qualification position where we are now.
We can progress, Jefferson.
And we are in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. So that's the three competitions that we are in. We're doing okay in them. We're doing okay. What is weird for me is that Eddie, on Tuesday, for example, chose to play Shea, pre-Eddie player, pre-Eddie era player, in front of Botman, for example. And he chose to play who he bought. So he's choosing to play Shea in front of Botman, who he bought. And he's choosing to play Murphy in front of Elanga, who he bought. That's the weird thing for me. That we went into Tuesday's game with two players from the Bruce era, when he's got nearly 100 million quid's worth of his buys on the bench. And that has got to be questioned.
Do you know what upsets me the most about this season so far? And this isn't being patronising to win, but I'm used to coming on here and you having loads of passion about you and being able to fight for Eddie 100%. The more that this season's going on, you're not able to do that. You can slowly see the passion for him and the love for him draining.
And not only can I say,
I'm being serious at this point. It's a horrible thing to see because that's sort of where sort of me and you clash, and that it's sort of the two passions get there, and that passion from you, from Eddie, is gone, and that I think that's the big thing to say, is that a fan like you who you're one of the ones that look for the bright side and always look for the best and everything, and that's a great way to be. And if you live your life like that way, that's perfect. But it's beginning to get away from you, and that's the sad thing about this season. So many fans like you are beginning to have to come over to mine and Jeff's sort of side, and it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing to see. You're always going to have fans that have got criticism.
This is the thing. Because when we
Not
get the
only
elite
me,
manager in, Win is going to be able to celebrate more when we soar even higher.
Well,
I
that's
want,
it.
I want Win to have more glory years, and
Yeah,
we'll get that
that
when Eddie's
Absolutely.
gone. That's what I want. Yeah.
that is yet to
100%.
be proven. But what I will say is that out of all of my, which I keep on referencing, all of the local Newcastle fans that I know have always been 100% behind Eddie. And right now, there are a lot. They haven't turned the corner yet. But like me, they are on the verge of turning the corner. And as one of the comments said early on in the chat tonight, if Pope starts against Everton, that is one of the things that the lads I've been talking to today were saying would definitely sway them almost totally to the dark side.
Yeah.
Much fear I sense in you, Win.
No fear. No fear.
You sounded more like Yoda every day, you know, Jeffo. Fearing you, I see, Win.
Me come to your side, Boaky and Jefferson.
Ladies and gents, please, if you can, at this point, just before we move on, smash the likes for us. Like I say, we've got loads.
You aren't getting me to the dark side.
Here he is. He's
Come
here.
on, Win.
He's
You know it's
in.
the right thing to do.
It's coming, Win. It's coming. No. Absolutely. The dark
You are
side
our
is
father.
upon you. Yes, indeed. You are the father. Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, like I say, hindsight is an amazing thing, and I think this is where, you say you live by the sword and you die by the same thing, and this is why we couldn't really critique Eddie Howe before, because he was still playing inherited players. He was still driving lesser players to a higher ground, if you like. He was getting us into these Champions League situations. He was getting us to cup finals. Had he brought us home silverware? So when you look at it, on an even keel, everything looked rosy. Everything looked brighter. So when the lads that were going through the door, the Wilsons, these guys that we all were criticising, when we had these high notes to look at, when we had these really bright days to look at, you could see these lesser players, your Longstaffs that we all critiqued, the Miggies that we all critiqued at times, all going through the door. Lads coming in, you're thinking, here we go. And as daft as it looks, it doesn't always have to be a big name that comes in that makes you think that we are going to bounce now. We are going to see a bit of a forward motion, because it's like a new manager coming in. You always get that 5-game bounce because they all want to prove that they deserve that shirt. I still have the same feeling every time we go to pick a team that I did when the said players that have left are still here, because I can still pick the 11 players that Eddie favours to get him a win. And like I say, home and away, whether you're Premier League or whether you're in Europe, Eddie's philosophy and the way he plays isn't working. And then trying to transition from an intensity team into a possession-based team with the players that you bought in to be that intensity team doesn't also work. So you can't have... And again, if you look at Ramsey, right? Jacob Ramsey was brought in to control more of the midfield, and yet you don't play him. You still play a stopper. You still play a lad who's going to be giving you sweat, blood and tears in J7. So possession-based team, but J7 isn't going to be your possession-based player. So why don't you bring in your possession-based player to control the game a little bit more? And then bring in your stoppers towards the end of the game when you want to nullify the opposition. So there's lots of question marks. And that's why I said, I have never been an Eddie Howe out. I've never been an Eddie Howe in, because I follow Newcastle United, not Eddie Howe. So for me, I want to see a coach that delivers the product. And doesn't matter what his name is. And like I said, I wouldn't have to go for a Mancini. I wouldn't go for a Mourinho. I certainly wouldn't go for a Pep Guardiola. Simply because...
And I wouldn't go for a Zidane.
Fabregas won again at the weekend. Big
yeah.
win. He could be an interesting one.
Gary,
Fabregas.
I hate to put you on the spot, but I will. Would you say we could get a better coach than Eddie Howe if he did leave?
This is what I said. We have to work our model now on Brighton because of the financial scrutiny that we're in. It's no good us sitting here and just naming people.
Yeah.
I can sit here and reel off 20 managers, 20 coaches that could come and do a job. Realistically, would they want it? Realistically, could they do it under the financial scrutiny that we're in? So you have to look at the whole picture rather than just throwing a name in the hat. How goes the Boaky and Jeffer?
If how goes, what are Boaky and Jeffer's going to talk about?
90s Mag could be in trouble because
listen,
there'll be no more
do
bitching sessions.
You know what? I'll put it on the screen and I forgot to say it. Tony T, thank you so much for the £2, mate. People, get yourself subbed onto the 90s Mags. Yeah, please do. The lads do a cracking show. Mainly after the games, give us a bit of a spiel on when you're on, because I can't always remember, dude.
So we're normally the day after a game because you guys normally do live and then immediate reaction, and then we normally do the day after.
Day after.
Yeah.
Can I just answer Wazza's point as well? I watched Sam and Corey this morning. Great show again. Them two lads are smashing that 100%. If you haven't watched it yet, really watch it. But
even after a miserable night, they were still chin up.
Positive, yeah. And Wazza's promised that he's going to pay for us to go to PSG.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that.
Yeah,
You're gonna get your ticket, lad.
Yeah, he's getting us a ticket, so I'm on my way there.
What? I tell you something. It was nice to hear. Was that on the phone this morning?
Really good.
Wazza, thank you so much, matey. People get on the Gary, Wynn, and Wazza's 60s, 70s, and 80s show. When's that on? I haven't got bloody time in the day for this stuff.
Well,
anyway,
luckily I was too young.
Let's do a few of these super chats and we were on. We've got Gavin saying, remember, Alanga has played most of his minutes without a striker. He should have had 3 assists with a decent striker there. And he's a confidence player. Eddie Howe has hooked him both times he's played well against Barcelona and USG.
Absolutely.
Tony T, Win would be the 50s marks. Steve Cotty, great point. We gave for a 75 million quid for a dodgy keeper, a crap winger, and we gave them a top goal scorer, Chris Woody's talking about, obviously, and the best young midfielder in the country.
Wow.
Fair point.
Very
Steve Gotti, great Eddie business that gets overlooked again. Some of Eddie's business has been criminal. Well, but some of it's been pretty damn good. Eddie Howe and his favourite players will get him the sack, and here we go. And if that happens, it's only Eddie himself who has himself to blame. Indeed.
Absolutely, mate.
And he is wise enough and shrewd enough to realise that. The Anderson Minty Vlack saga was purely driven by PSR for signs that were made under Ashworth and Staveley. Nothing to do with Eddie. And Wayne, get your selling nets instead of Pope. Get Eddie's job saved.
I just want to do this one from Pop Mags. Well, Eddie was the senior most person on the playing side of the business. So, yeah, the decision to do those particular deals as opposed to the other options must have been okayed by Eddie Howe. And I think that was obviously during the summer business that everybody critiqued. Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I don't think he was put in a great situation. And that's why I blamed, at the time, Piff, because they'd been earmarked. They knew when Mitchell was going through the door. Everybody knew about it. It was there across social media, all the papers. So why we didn't act sooner, and again, internally, if we knew 2 months before he left that he was leaving, why they should have known before that, surely. There's got to have been conversations being had.
Yeah.
And we'd heard of them, teaching other people how to do his job. That's impossible, Taz. That's an impossible
The
task.
board are definitely liable, I think, because they should have stood their
Absolutely.
ground anyway and not sacked
Yeah, yeah.
Paul Mitchell anyway,
Anyway,
and told them both to just wind their necks in and learn to get on for the betterment of the club, because it really set our summer back, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but again, that was down to their boss, Darren Eales, and we all know the situation. Unfortunately, that Darren Eales was in, and he should have been replaced much earlier than he was.
Because if you think about it, it was easy
Come
done.
on, saying I don't think Fabregas is ready for the jump to us yet. To be honest, look at his generation of players: Gerrard, Lampard, Vieira, been great at smaller clubs, but awful when they've stepped up.
Have a look at Como, mate. They're flying absolutely high. They will be in the Champions League next season. So he's currently doing a better level than us at the moment.
And Janessa, while I'm saying Eddie became too pragmatic for my liking last year. We don't play entertaining football anymore. We take the lead and are not trying to score a couple more. Yano was saying if Anderson and Minty had stayed, they'd still not be getting any playing time.
That is a really interesting point. I think we would all agree Anderson would not be in the England squad if he'd stayed at Newcastle.
Absolutely.
Because players with flair or technical bit, he just doesn't know how to use them. He's just athletes, unfortunately. Yeah. That's what he wants. He wants runners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
banging the same old drum there, Jevo. Banging the same old drum.
It fits what Gary said. Gary said it, but in a different way. He talked about the highest levels of football. You need players that can keep possession, and we couldn't even do that yesterday against Marseille.
We haven't done it for 2 seasons, to be fair.
El Canoes was a good one. We could have got on the cheap from Leicester, to really start to change that. But
yeah, crazy. I mean, like I say, some of the decisions that I saw against Marseille was criminal, mate. It really was, for that level of performance. And what you could have got from it at the end of it, knowing your fixture list and how that top 8 now is paramount to finishing, so you don't get those playoff games added to an already busy list. I think it's absolutely criminal. I really do. Madness in Marseille. There's obviously lots of talk about the situation that happened in Marseille. Between the club staff and players' families were warned not to celebrate if Newcastle scored in Marseille on Tuesday, which Harvey Barnes duly did after 6 minutes. The group were not housed in the same section as the 3,500 away supporters, and home officials gave them strict guidance not to reveal their allegiance in the event of a Newcastle goal. There were similar warnings to the UK press amid fear of physical and verbal attacks from home fans. Meanwhile, Newcastle have raised concerns with UEFA, Marseille and the French police after the unacceptable treatment of supporters inside the Stade Velodrome. And the club say the police used unnecessary and disproportionate force and indiscriminately assaulted fans when leaving the stadium after the game. Thankfully, it appears that no one was physically injured, but the incident was described as distressing by the club. Fans I have spoken to say that the police treatment was actually an improvement on how they were handled in 2004 at the same stadium, and that it was still heavy-handed and unnecessarily given to supporters, not caused by the issue itself was the police. I mean, listen, I know the situation when it comes to European police forces and stuff like that. They don't accept what we give or what you hear English fans give the English police. European police don't stand for that. They will get involved. But from what I've seen and what I've listened to a lot of the time, I cannot understand. Now, me and you, Win, were talking about it the other day of how they were guided to be in this location at this time. Can't go anywhere else. You've got no.
Not just guided, mandatory.
No, mandatory. Yeah, it was. So. Have you guys seen Adam Pearson's blog at all?
Yeah, I saw the first one.
Where he timed his travel to and from
7
the
hours.
ground. So it was 7 hours to actually get into the ground. 4 hours before the game, this was. So they're all stood there for 4 hours.
This
before
was
the
on the
ball was kicked in
official,
anger. Yeah.
Following the official guidelines, was 7 hours from getting from the location to the stadium, the match, and back to the location.
It's absolutely incredible.
7 hours. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I want to show you. Like I say, we'll talk over it because there's no noise, and I've got it here because, like I say, you'd got it on X. So I'm going to put it on the screen now, just so people that haven't seen it get a chance to see it. And like I say, the one thing that I need to pinpoint to those that are listening rather than watching, there's parts through this video where Newcastle fans were made to stand in sewage because there was a broken toilet that just spewed out dirty water constantly. And they were made to stand for 2 hours post-game in sewage water. There was one gentleman who had, he'd got some form of cancer. And there was a gentleman in front of him that was having a bit of a word with one of the policemen at the end. He sprayed tear gas. This lad couldn't see. And again, that comes up at the end of this. That was on Talk Sport because they were all talking about it there with Simon Jordan. And there was a phone in after that where the gentleman explains himself. And he was allowed, because he couldn't see, he was choking a little bit. Somebody had to do an interpretation to the French police that he'd got cancer and he was struggling with this illness. And they allowed him to go through one of the side gates and out into the street where he can breathe fresh air. So they were, it was like having cattle. And like I say, we'll talk through it, have a watch of it. I mean, it's shocking. It really is. And like Wynne said, you know, you see him start his clock at the start of the event where they're all queuing up for the metro. And the time it takes them is ridiculous. No wonder people were getting frustrated. I'm going to pull it back here because you can see the clock. It starts. I'm going to turn the noise off because you don't want to hear the noise. Like I say, it just becomes a little bit too loud. And you can see them walking through all the turnstiles. Nice, you know, not really being hounded or anything, all towards the ground, the metro centre, where they're just waiting for the trains to get through. And that took them 43 minutes. So here we are, into the ground, completely empty. So there you go. It took them an hour and 5 minutes to get into the ground. And then the Marseilles team players started to come out. 4 hours standing actually in the ground before a ball was kicked in anger. So absolutely incredible. I mean, some great scenes, don't get me wrong. So this is post-match. Now, this is the one that I struggle with, right? So here, they were told that they have to wait for 2 hours after the whistle, the final whistle, to stay in the ground because they want to get all the Marseille fans out of the way because of fracas and potential risk to health. And this now is them being frog marched. This is the toilet. Look, they're just standing in dirty water, and they had to stand there for 2 hours being frog marched out. And there you go, 7 hours 46 minutes that actually took that game. And I must admit, you know, we talk about having a situation where we get frustrated when you're being railroaded to a degree into a situation, into a cul-de-sac. It becomes a bit of a bottleneck. When you're told to stand in cold, dirty water for 2 hours, you're going to get frustrated. And by all accounts, what happened was there was a couple from the back started to push forward because they just wanted out. They just, you know, standing there for 2 hours, they just wanted forward. And it made some of the people then, obviously, lose their balance, and some of them got pushed into the police. And the police then just decided to use batons and smack them and hit them and push them, use pepper spray. You can understand why there's been so many people, and obviously Newcastle now, wanting an explanation by UEFA, because it's not the way to go forward, is it, in a European competition?
It's a disgrace. I mean, I said it before a ball was kicked. When that notice came out from the club, advising fans, but really not advising fans, instructing fans that there were mandatory areas, that the only areas they were allowed to go was in Place Juliette. Don't go to the old port, don't go there, don't show your colours, don't display any flags. That's what going abroad in Europe is all about when you're supporting a team. And for that to be, and this all came, by the way, from allegedly the French police instructions.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be allowed in the competition if that's the case. That's my belief, you know. I think it's unacceptable in this day and age that you can't be free to go where you want to go.
End of the day, it's football. Yeah, we all love it and we all want the team to do the best. But if it gets to that level, as you say, if they're taking it to that extreme, they shouldn't be in the competition. They should just be and it's happened to English teams before, not because every English team was doing it, because
No. Everyone got bored.
Yeah, everyone got bored. Maybe if they do the same to another country, then, they'll learn as well. I mean, thank God we're not in that situation as much in this country now. I mean, there's still some flare-ups, but nowhere near what it looks like it would be in there. And, as I say, maybe France needs to be told, look, you're banned from European competitions for a couple of years. You sort your fans out.
Yeah, UEFA needs to take a tough stance. I think the funding's there, and I think we should get some form of compensation, and then that can be paid back to the fans.
100%.
I'm good, man. I'm good anyway. Let's. It's right. I've just had the producer in my ears to say if I want to wrap up, I can wrap up. That's why I'm talking to myself. What I've got here is, again, people, sometimes love, hate Simon Jordan. And the headlines to this bit was Simon Jordan supports the way the foreign police sorted Newcastle. And when you listen to it, it's actually on the contrary. What he does say is he understands living in Spain. Well, rather than me dictate it, listen to it. It's here.
Until moments ago, Newcastle United statement, and this tells us about the club's concerns for their own fans, travelling fans, in Marseille the other night. Of course, Champions League, and Newcastle lost by 2-1 to Olympique Marseille. It goes on to tell us that many fans were put in a lot of jeopardy as they left the stadium. Once the first group of fans was released, the police began using unnecessary and disproportionate force to stop the remainder of our fans from moving any further. This was action through a combination of pepper spray, batons, shields, numerous fans being indiscriminately assaulted by the police. This is not on-site. Newcastle fans, I was at Stamford Bridge. They are some of the best travelling fans around.
It's not on if it's right. I mean, ultimately, how foreign authorities police their games, we know that they're much more heavy-handed. Having lived in Spain for 25 years, I know that the Guardia Civil and the local police can be very robust. There's part of me that thinks there's something quite right about that because people in society take too many liberties. Now, if they've overstepped, and of course this is another issue with the French governance because we saw that in the Liverpool Champions League final. That was a ticketing issue alongside a policing issue. Right. Marseille is an area that's often beset by crime.
Oh, it's a powder keg.
It's a powder keg. So I don't know whether anecdotally, I'm not suggesting this is right, certain Newcastle fans were behaving poorly, or whether it really is a case of overzealous policing.
Yeah.
You do have to recognise that there are cultural differences. Now, if people are being sprayed pepper spray in their face and being hit with batons, there has to be a bloody good reason for it. And if there isn't a bloody good reason for it, then Newcastle are well within their rights to make whatever noise they want to make. Where it's going to take them, I don't know.
Absolutely right, Simon. The club says we will formally raise our concerns with UEFA, with Olympique de Marseille and the French police. The thing is, it's done now. That's it. They've been there. They lost. They're out. The fans are now home. It happened. Fans leaving the stadium, the statement tells us, rightly shared their distress, frustration and anger with our staff. That's Newcastle United staff who were there. And we have subsequently received deeply concerning witness reports from supporters who were in attendance. Let's leave it at that just now. Let's return to this morning. Newcastle fans listening to me this morning, listening to Simon and myself this morning, live in Talk Sport. Did you get caught up in this? What did you witness? And if you want to come on...
Right, we'll leave it there because, like I say, he gets a couple of fans on after the event that were there. And like I say, they described the guy who was got the cancer and things like that and how he was shepherded out. So that's immaterial. But for me... I know, like you've been there previously, Win, and you had no issues there at all, did you?
None at all. In all of our, hundreds and hundreds of fans on the viewport, in the bars, in the restaurants, enjoying ourselves. Midway to the ground, coming out the ground was kind of a different kettle of fish when we came out, but. Well, the one on Tuesday as well. So, but it was hairier going back into town than it was going up to town. But we had no problems whatsoever. But as Chris says, that was 20 years ago. And times have changed.
Times have changed massively. And it certainly looks
in terms of, not least the Marseille population, which has had massive immigration problems and increased crime problems.
Well, everybody that I've looked at today that have been there on social media have said how poor it was to the point where they didn't feel safe. Even though, obviously, keeping everybody together, railroading them onto the trams, trains, whatever it is that they were going to, I can understand that. It's marshalled, it's done. But getting to the ground for 4 hours and waiting around for 4 hours, I mean, what is the sense in that? And then waiting another 2 hours after to get out of the stadium. You can understand why people get frustrated. You can understand why words are said.
Right.
That just doesn't make sense to me. Me being quite poorly on my legs because of my condition, I don't think I could have done it. I don't think I could have stood for 2 hours in the cold water just because of my condition. But would that have made me any different to anybody else around me? No. I would have had to just deal with it and struggle then to probably walk to the train. And then would that have been my fault? Would I have got a baton across the back of the head because they can't understand English? I just find it absolutely insane the way the guys were treated. Talking of insanity, this one's going to blow your frock up big style. I was reading an article when I was doing a little bit of work for the show tonight. And I was a bit aghast by this one. I hope you're ready for this.
You're ready for this? Dun, 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 dun.
Jesus Christ, when it's bad enough speaking to him, try and sing it.
Yeah. So,
you're ready for this?
Right.
DJ Win.
DJ Win. Yeah. I mean, I was trying to get the tune in my head then, but he completely ruined it for me. There you go.
That's it. We've got it.
We've got it.
Well, I think us three have got it, Win.
Yeah. Whatever you've got, you need to go and see your GP. Anyway, Former PGMO chief executive Keith Hackett believes that Sunderland may have to postpone their upcoming Tyne and Wear derby with Newcastle.
Ooh.
Sunderland have a handful of games to attend to before it, though many eyes are already on 14th of December when Newcastle travel to the Stadium of Light. It will be the first league meeting between the two sides since 2016 when the 1-1 draw at St James's Park ended the Black Cats' 6-game winning run. Newcastle will be looking for only their second win against the Wearsiders since 2011, though their chances of doing so may be halted by the AFCON situation that Sunderland are set to face. Sunderland will have a whole host of players jet off to AFCON before the competition gets underway on the 21st of December, though they could be without several key players before that. Tournament regulations mean that the Black Cats should release their players up to 3 weeks before AFCON gets underway. And with the Newcastle encounter just 1 week prior, it would see them miss that game. And the players that are going would be Siddiqui, Diarra, Reinildo, Muswake, Talbi, Traore, and Adingra. They're all playing. However, Keith Hackett also is hopeful that Sunderland can come to an agreement with the organisers to release their players after the derby. Otherwise, they may have to seek the postponement of their highly anticipated clash with Newcastle. Speaking exclusively, he said, there is no doubt that team will be left depleted when their players go to AFCON. Sunderland will lose 7 players and they will obviously impact the size and strength of their squad. It is likely, unless the special permission from AFCON organisers, that they will have to seek postponement of their fixture against local rivals Newcastle, a game that will have already been penciled in to be televised. I do hope, for the sake of the fans in the North East, that AFCON will arrange for the players to arrive at the tournament HQ after the local derby has taken place. I was gobsmacked when I read this. And I'm sure to think about this being postponed because of players that they've bought, knowing full well that they'll be missing during the AFCON. Same as we did with Wissa. You know, there was no excuses for us. We all knew when we signed him that he was going to be missing for a potential 2 months. Have they got any rights to do what they're potentially looking at doing with Newcastle and the players going off to AFCON?
I don't think they have. I think Eddie Howe may be thinking he hopes so.
Yeah, I was going to say, bad news for the Eddie Outers.
Gary, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any chance of this. You think of the authorities and everything that's been set up for that game. The police will already be in place with overtime. There'll already be everything in place for the likes of the public transport, the metros, the buses, things like that. They'll already have the coaches set up to take fans across. There is absolutely no chance they're going to postpone that game now.
It seems a bit late in the day, doesn't it? As we've all known the fixture list now. Well, since before the kick of the ball in the summer. So, why is it taking till now to come up with this rubbish?
No idea. What are saying?
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible meets the Cheeky Girls.
Yeah, I know. I want to know which one of us is the Cheeky Girls. Oh, bless. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, I mean, seriously though, I mean, is this the way people are thinking? You know, when we purchase players, knowing full well that the side is going to be depleted, is that just like a chink in the armour? We'll deal with it when it happens. Is it foresight? Is it a case of, you know, squad depth? Do they believe they've got the squad depth to go and compete? Because we said, great start for them, but come January, when their players come back, they could have fallen from grace.
But if you look
by the way, we've been saying that since before the season started, when we saw who they were signing.
But you look at the games they've got when AFCON's on. There's games there that they probably would never win anyway. The fact is, they've built up such a big points mass already. By the time AFCON gets here, they're going to have a few more points. it'll be over and
Then,
they'll get through it. They're not going to be anywhere near the bottom three even when that AFCON's over.
oh no, I'm not saying that, but they will
No,
have
no,
that fall, won't they?
but I'm saying that Sunderland's motive this season, our objective was to stay up.
Yeah.
If they get through, if they get AFCON out the way and are still 10th, 11th, 12th, not as bad as 14th, but if they're still in that sort of position, that's a brilliant season for them. They'll pick enough points up then to stay up.
Yeah. Because they're on 19. There's 5 games before. I'm not saying they'll get a maximum 15, but if they can at least have 25, 26 points on the board, they could sacrifice the game in terms of it doesn't matter if they win or lose. You know, they would only need another potentially 5 wins to stay in the league after that, and they'll have enough games to do it. So that's the importance of having a good start like they've had.
Which we don't get in already, ever.
No,
Well said, Win.
Win, just while I'm researching, have a look at the chat to see what.
Yeah, I'm just in the chat now. Chiesa looked class every time he's played for Liverpool. They got him for pennies. Why were we not in for him? We were in for him. And he chose Liverpool.
I think he was a free transfer.
Yeah. We were in for him and he chose Liverpool. But totally unacceptable. This is the Marseille situation. Look how Northumbria police dealt with the PSG ultras. No bother.
Yeah.
Thanks, what was I saying? Thanks, Boaky, for mentioning the PSG ticket for the home end. He's putting that in order. It's for the home end. I'm getting Grant and knit you a bulletproof cardy with a target on the back. and Bob Beer is saying Miley must be taking a long look at Anderson.
He's got
wondering.
Got to wait and hope Eddie goes. Please, you know, it'll be such a sad day if we end up selling this player, another great youth player that's come through, because the manager really struggles to use.
Oh, great. Let's not talk about great yet.
Let's hope he stays. Let's hope he stays. You know, I still remember that debut against Chelsea. That nice little shimmy dummy.
Yeah.
Cracked a shot, hit the crossbar. I thought, wow, this kid's got something. And we're not utilising him. We're not utilising him well.
And when has he done that since?
Well, you know, you look at the magical assist he did for Joe Linton in Champions League. Everyone remembers the one he did for Isak against Chelsea. You know, he's popped up with a few goals. He's not close enough to the box. You know, we don't utilise him more because we're playing a midfield 3. That's the other thing. I think naturally he's a 10. He needs to be closer to the goal. I think there'll be better managers that can utilise him better. He's just got to wait it out and hope he can stay longer than Eddie, in my opinion. I think that's the case for a few of the players. I'm thinking Tonali, hold your nerve. Just stay. Like, the manager will go soon. Hopefully we get a top manager in and then we'll push on. I'm really worried. Same as Botman. Just hold your nerve. I think we're getting close to the end now.
The McKenzie family saying the culties are bricking it. The realists' theory seems to be coming true.
Yes,
Eddie
Con.
out.
Yes, Con. Come on.
Love it. Mental.
Tony's saying, does that mean want to postpone all games till AFCON's finished? We went out. We were in for. We were definitely in for Chiesa.
Well, I think we had a chat. It's like I said, we've got to be careful when we say we were in for him. There was no official bid. Talking to parties is different to, like, you know, making a bid. And I think that's where we get a little bit confused. There's a lot of players that we've been in for and they refuse. But there's a lot of players that we've also spoke to and not interested. And I think that there's a bit of a difference between the two. It's really funny because I watched, I'm going to go away from that speculation about Sunderland because, like I say, I just think it's total BS anyway. So I saw on somebody had written an article and they'd done a bit of a deep dive into our Champions League potential finish place after running certain simulations over and over and over again. It came out that Newcastle could finish. I think they got us in 22nd place.
21st or 21st.
Is it 21st?
Yeah, if it's the same one that I was looking at.
Yeah, it could have been. So I thought, you know what, I want to see how credible that is. So I did something myself. And when you do these prediction summaries, it's quite hard to get, because again, we've got no crystal ball, so it's all hypothetical. But the lowest I've actually got us down as is 14th. If all the games go a little bit awry, I mean, the most obvious one for me now is about the 12th. When you look at current form and everything else, 12th seems to be the standout. But it could be anything from 9th to 14th. And obviously, if you look at data, I mean, again, I'm looking at Opta's projections and things like that. That's more or less where they're putting us in and around the 12th positions. But you know, you guys have already highlighted the fixtures that we've got coming. You know, Leverkusen away, PSV at home, and Paris Saint-Germain away. The final three matches are a tough run, including, you know, what we've got in the domestic side of things. There's some tricky games there. We've also got cup games in and amongst that as well. So it ain't just going to be the likes of looking at. If I was to say to you now, those three games, potential 9 points, win, how many points would you reckon, or do you believe Newcastle could get?
Well, prior to yesterday, I would have said certainly 3 from PSV at home, on the basis that we beat USG 4-0 and they beat PSV 3-1 away from home. So I would have said that's 3 points guaranteed. But, you know, Leverkusen, I would have said there's at least a point. And they've just beaten Man City at the Etihad yesterday. PSG away, you know, you can't really see us getting, you know, we could scrape a draw perhaps. But that was the 9 prior to Tuesday's game. That was what we had left, and 9 points doesn't get you into. You know, you need. It was 11 points with a -4 that got Bruges in by the skin of their teeth last year. So we need 2 points from somewhere.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Two draws maybe.
Yeah. Three points. I still think we'll beat PSV, regardless of what they did at Liverpool.
If Eddie doesn't get... if Eddie's
away from home?
No, PSV's at home.
Is it at home?
Yeah.
Okay, that gives us a chance then.
If Eddie doesn't get...
That's the one. We've got PSG and Leverkusen away, and we've got PSV at home.
If Eddie doesn't get through, he deserves to be shot with the brown stuff. Because,
shot with brown sugar. That's the one.
I stopped myself to be fair. But he does.
What I'm saying is, had we put all our meat on the grill on Tuesday and won that game, we are then 1 point away from almost certain top 8 qualification.
I think we're looking at playoffs now. I think we can kiss goodbye to top 8. It's not happening. Playoffs, yeah.
No, exactly. Exactly, that's my point. That's why I thought the Marseilles game was the more important of the two.
It's still not, in my opinion.
No.
Because we're in such a terrible...
We could... If we'd had a full-strength team out on Tuesday, we could have won that game quite easily.
So if we're a full-strength team, Stockport making that mistake win.
That's what I'm saying. Individual mistakes, mate, in important areas, such as a goalkeeper, doesn't change. Doesn't matter who you've got on the field of play.
We probably wouldn't have been in that position anyway.
Well, again, we're talking hindsight,
it's all hypothetical, so it's irrelevant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
all I'm saying is it's proven the situation we're in right now proves that I was right when I said the Marseille game was the most important of the two.
Well, Win, if you were right, that means Eddie was wrong. So you're going to blast him out for it.
Well, I said before the match he was wrong.
No, but go on. So he was a poor manager that game because he changed.
Because he prioritised Everton as well.
Exactly. So you think he's a bad manager?
It didn't mean I think he's a bad manager at all. It
But
means
you
he made a bad decision.
Anybody who didn't prioritise that game.
He made a bad decision, in my opinion.
And how many bad decisions has he made this season?
Starting to become a multitude.
Lots.
I'm going to say, here we go.
He's
Yeah.
finished,
Well,
mate.
isn't it?
Your boy is finished, and you know what? So are the Colts.
Long way from finished yet. Long
So-
way from finished.
So here we go then. So these are the three areas that are what you, I suppose, the first one, it just seems a mile off for me. But best realistic case, if Newcastle pick up 6 points,
Boaky smoking.
Boaky does smoke, yeah.
Oh, he does smoke. Yeah, I'm afraid, mate. One of me
I've never
bases.
seen you smoke before, ever.
If you want to,
He's
I do want to.
smoking.
Yeah.
That's when he goes off the channel, mate. He's there, isn't he? He's doing it.
Sorry, Gary. I was like, what? I was like, is he blazing? Like, is he having
I'm only about to tab halfway through this.
Yeah, Boaky said to me when I met him, he only smokes in bed, but now I know he's a liar. Anyway.
I have to wake us up
Sorry,
and
sorry.
So anyway, best realistic case. If Newcastle pick up 6 or 7 points from the final 3 games, a win and 2 draws or 2 wins, they could climb into the top 8 or the 9th, 10th playoff zone. That would require beating at least one of Leverkusen, PSV, PSG, and avoiding defeat elsewhere. The most likely case is 3 to 4 points from the last 3 matches. That would leave them around the 11th to 13th, which matches current momentum and Opta's cautious projection. So that's where I said 12th, bang on in the middle, is where we should, with all the bits and pieces, go. Worst case scenario would be just picking up the 1 point, would probably see Newcastle finish 14th or even lower, eliminating any realistic chance of automatic qualification and making the playoff route unlikely. It is really harsh reality now, I suppose, when you look at it in black and white and realise what extra games, and I think that is the big crunch for me. The number of games over this next few months, like I say, nearly a full season of football crammed into a 4-month schedule, is a lot of football for an already thin squad. Eddie really needs to act in January for me. He needs to look at the players. I mean, we talk about these Keith Smith and things like that, this young lad who already is questioning game time. And that's obviously come, via him looking at the squad, never seen a lot of changes, or it's come by somebody's conversation. And I like this lad. I like the look of this lad. 19-year-old kid, looks like he's got a lot about him, playing regular football. Would Eddie Howe, does he need to look deep, especially fullbacks, things like that, in January? He certainly needs to put a bit of a deep dive into building the squad, expanding the squad even further. We talk about, players still readily could go. We could lose Kraft. We could lose Willock. That's just 2. He needs replacements, but he doesn't just need replacements. He needs people that are going to be really pushing that first team element further down the line. It can't be just bench warmers just to fill a void. That's got to be the mentality, surely.
You've got to buy for me. You've got to buy another striker
And a right
Well,
back.
definitely a right back.
And a left back.
and then you've
Or
got
a
to look
versatile.
And an
at
attacking
at a
midfielder.
fullback.
And an attacking midfielder.
He needs to be able to change things up, doesn't he?
Mm.
But an attacking midfielder instead of Louis Miley.
What's the rules now?
He doesn't use him, no win. He doesn't use him there. Do you know what I'm saying? But the problem is now with it, what's it called? SSR? CSR?
SCR.
SCR. I don't know if it's translated to PIF, but that ramps the pressure up because it means you can't accumulate the debt over 3 seasons. Where it's one
That's right.
season and out, one season out. So it has to be Champions League or bust in terms of revenue, unless the chief commercial officer has some sponsorship deals up his ass, which we don't know is coming. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and it's looking to be the current trajectory we're on. We're getting nowhere near top 4 under this manager. So, listen, why the stay of execution? We're wasting time. Let's get moving. All the other big clubs will be like, off you go, mate. Thanks for the memories. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for?
What's the rules with the Champions League now? I mean, I've given up trying to find out anything I can with it because there's so many things changed. If we sign players now, can we now play them still in the Champions League? If
Yeah.
they play in the Champions League.
You can even sign Champions League players from Champions League clubs.
Because as far as I can see as well, sometimes you might not be better off not finishing in the top 8. I know you get an extra games, but if a couple of the top teams finish in the bottom 8, as long as you don't draw one of them, you may be better off in the bottom half, and then when you go through, you're not playing a top team from if they're not all in the top 8 when you get there.
It's just the workload, isn't it?
It's
That-
That was the other thing about beating Marseille. You're losing 2 games. You're getting all the money without having to play the 2 games.
Question from Tony Tewood. Are you Eddie out if we lose to Everton?
No.
Oh,
No.
Jesus in heaven. Oh, my.
But if we lose to Everton and lose to Spurs, I will look at the table then and think, can we realistically, or even mathematically, get Champions League from where we'll be then?
When look at the table now and how we've been playing.
There's nothing the matter with the table now, man.
It's awful. We're 14th after spending £250 million. Yeah?
Oh, let's not go down this
I'm not
road
good at maths.
again, man,
It's
for God's sake.
45%. No, that's
five,
correct. We've lost 45% of our games in the Premier League. I'm hoping that's correct. It's definitely over 40% because it's 5 out of 12, which is a disgrace. And if you look at in terms of what we've won like a third, 33%. Is that the aims of... Listen, everyone, look at Aston Villa. They were shaky at the start. Look at them now.
Yeah, look at them now.
Yeah, they fixed up.
They're 6 points above us.
Yeah,
and they're in 4th place. And we started on the back of a shocking transfer window.
Whose fault was that win? Whose fault?
It was PIF's fault. We've been down this road. We've been down this road a million times.
Going down it, my friend.
It's boring. It's boring.
Because Eddie ballsed up our recruitment. That's why it's boring.
No.
And his nephew.
Gary, you offer him a quick pint together.
I think I need to.
It's boring. We've done that to death.
Winnie, baby, we're gonna keep going there. We're gonna keep going there.
You keep going there. I'm saying we're 6 points off top 4.
Are we closer to the relegation zone than the top 4?
And by the way, it's looking like it's gonna be top 4 now.
4 points off bottom 3.
Because the way that the English teams performed last night, it's going to be touch and go whether we get to 5th, getting that 5th place next season.
Win. We're 4 points off bottom 3, and as it stands, we're only just better than Fulham.
And we're 4 points off 6th.
Leeds, Burnley, and
with both our fullbacks back now. Wissa coming back,
except for City, came against the teams below us. Yeah. And the football is diabolical. All we do is run and wrestle people to the ground. We play like an EFL team, man.
Yeah, listen. I think we all know we are at that point now of fences. People sitting on the fences. I think long gone. It's either in or out now. And there's people that still back him, and still give him at least till Christmas. And there's people that will say,
not necessarily.
I'll give him to the end of the season. The biggest thing you've got to ask, and it was in the chat just, and apologies, I couldn't see who it was because it shot away from me. But somebody said, if we back Eddie now, and he does use this little pot of money that we've got in the coffers, and we do sack him then, say, end of January, February, the new manager that comes in, because of the financial issues that we're in at the moment, and I'm going to put Stefan Borsten on in a minute just to give you some ideas of where we are with this. Like I said, it's a bit long, and
which is precisely why I'm saying you give him until the window. If he's not there, you don't give him the money to spend in the window. Not at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because if we do give him the opportunity to spend that
when
money,
you've got to give somebody a chance to look at the squad.
They've got to look at it where the weaknesses are.
Listen, if they're a manager who's half...
Let Boaky finish.
You can't bring somebody new in, not giving them a chance to look at the squad before they go into a transfer window.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, then they're going to be blindsided. And you might say, they can look in from the outside. They can't see a player in training every day. So if you're going to sack him now.
Mm.
If you're not going to sack him, then say, look, this season's disaster.
You write it off.
Hold your hands up. Yeah, it's a transitional season. Yeah, exactly.
But the problem is, if we write off this season, it's goodbye Botman, it's goodbye Tonali, potentially, like Gary said, goodbye Tiao. And what happens is you go back 10 steps. You have to start again. And this is where you start to realize you support NUFC, you don't support Eddie Howe.
I support NUFC. Don't worry about that.
We can't do it at the expense of one man.
What did you just say they win? Who do you support?
NUFC.
What you got on your T-shirt?
I've got my Eddie armour on until such time as I don't have it on. And by the way, I'll still be wearing it after that. But
exactly.
Why doesn't he just quit, go on a nice holiday, spend time with his family, wait for Tuchel to finish at the World Cup, and then see what happens? He can go and study more football. Or
why not wait till we beat Everton, beat Spurs, beat Burnley, and we're in the top 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
It could happen.
It could happen, innit? You can't rule it out.
Yeah, you can't rule anything out.
Beat Fulham, we're in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Beat
you know how
Leverkusen, we're in the top 8 again of the Champions League. Beat the Mackhams, and everybody's happy.
You know what? Do you know how we've been doing these weather reports every night for Chris? Just to let you know there's a pig flying over Blythe.
Hey!
Oh, bless you.
We can clip it.
We can clip it.
Add it to his spread that he's got. His lovely, his lovely Thanksgiving spread that he's got.
It would be straight on that barbecue, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I'm gonna put this on. I know, like I said, there's again, Stefan Borsten hasn't got everything right. No, like I said, nobody's got a crystal ball, but he does explain this part quite well. And he talks about teams that are in and how they're going to give a bit of leeway for teams that are encroaching or above the cut-offs. So it's an interesting watch. Like I say, it is a bit long, and I apologise for that. But it's for those that aren't sure of how this works. This is as clear as damn it. If I can put the sound on, that would be better, wouldn't it? Where are you? There you go. You haven't missed much, trust me. Oh, why aren't you? I can't put the sound on, guys, for some unknown reason. Bear with me, I'll come back to it. For some unknown reason, the sound isn't working. I will have a look at that and I'll put it straight back on. I don't know
what is he saying? You've listened to it, Gary. What exactly is he saying?
It literally is. Well, like I say, it's hard for a layman to give you the exact answer because what he's explaining is the fact that you are, you've got your 85% bracket for those that aren't in European competitions. You've got your 70% bracket for those that are in European competitions. And it's the teams that are going to get the benefits from it. Those that aren't going to get, a lot from it. And there's 2 teams that he brought up, Aston Villa and Newcastle. Aston Villa and Newcastle are in exactly the same straits under SCR as they were under PSR. So it means absolutely diddly squat for us unless there's a massive increase in the revenue. And that's why, I think everybody was questioning about a new stadium and everything else, because I think that is the way PIF and the rest needed to go to have this commercial business, this commercial influx of money, bums on seats watching. You then get the opportunity to concerts and stuff like that. At the minute, we have got a very limited option going forward. The other thing that Newcastle have just lost out on is the rugby, because that's gone to Everton's new ground now. So they've lost on that commercial business. And it's around about £60 million across Newcastle, because obviously you talk about, the people coming to watch the rugby in and around the town, and then obviously what you would gain for the drinks and beverages at the ground. So there is a lot of money that has been lost. So there's again, when I listen to what he has to say, and I then go back to, well, why have we agreed to it if it's not going to benefit us? Unless there's something in the pipeline, there is a plan.
It isn't going to disenfranchise us, because, as was said before they had the vote on Friday, the bottom line remains the same. It's all about revenue generation. We've got to get more commercial revenue, because, to be honest, actual bums on seats revenue these days is minuscule compared to all of the other revenue sources. If you get an extra 20,000 extra in the stadium, let's go stupid. 20,000 extra in the stadium is going to put us with what we'd be able to charge roughly where, let's say, Spurs and Arsenal are at the minute on their match day revenues. And that's like £1 million a game. So that's, call it £20 million a season. That they are better off than we are, purely based on bums on seats and how much money they spend when they're in the stadium. That's 20 million. You can get one decent sponsorship deal that blows that into touch.
I think that's what I said. They must have something there. Go on, Boaky.
I think a little bit of the rumour around town's been the day, and I don't know if this is true or not, but they're going to look to put music, like gigs on, or like sort of a big name star on at Newcastle over these weekends instead.
Yeah.
It seems the money that the rugby brings in will be minuscule compared to what having a big singer. So if you like, for example, if you have Sam Fender or something there, the money he would bring in for a couple of gigs would be comparatively massive more than having sort of the rugby there.
So I mean that the £60 million figure you quoted, Gaz, is the to the region.
Yeah, that's what I said. To the
hotels
region.
and everything.
It's not
as
just
well. Is there like things like that?
Let's talk about that as well. Yeah, I mean, if obviously having the Hopkins he's going to go down that route, because that's obviously the background he's from, so he's going to understand how. As I say, I think this is no offence to rugby, and I'm not a huge rugby fan, so I'm not going to sit and have a proper go about it. But you have a couple of rugby games there, you're not going to make the money that you would if you had a massive boxing match there, as Jeff says, or a proper gig there from a world class singer. So,
doesn't it make you wonder why? Because again, we haven't changed anything, Andy. We've not done anything different to the ground. Why haven't we done it before if it's achievable?
Because Ashley wasn't before this.
Well, we've had 4 years.
No, I'm saying before this under Ashley, he wasn't. I was going to say another word that I can't say, but he wasn't bothered about this sort of thing. And now, obviously, we had Darren Eales in charge. I mean, at the start, the plan was to keep winning the Premier League, which is fair enough. And then we had Darren Eales in charge, and then it sort of went a bit the wrong way in regards to, obviously, unfortunately, his health. I think this guy stepping in is beginning to look, hang on, we could earn big money doing this rather than having as I say, any rugby fans out there, I apologise for saying this, but having a 2-bit rugby competition at the ground, or having, as I say, an Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift or someone like that doing a concert at the ground where you're going to make the big money. And that's not just for the ground, it's also for the whole city. You're going to make a hell of a lot more money having something
Apparently,
like that on.
Oasis is one of these people. Apparently, the Oasis now, this is part of the rugby thing that's gone to Everton, I
Yeah.
believe. That's why it's called, we've lost out on the 60 million plus, because they believe that the Oasis thing now has all moved to Everton. They wanted it more central England rather than the northeast. It gains more, obviously, fans across the board, if you like. So, an interesting one. Gary Morn.
So with
question
our
for all of
super
us.
sensible heads on, yes.
If we lose to Everton and sack Eddie, who do we achieve? Or what do we do to achieve doing it? Well, like
What do we achieve by doing
yeah.
it?
Well, look, it's like saying,
Keep going
what do
down,
we
then.
achieve by keeping it? Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
you can have.
Where's the
you can
winning
have both
mentality?
sides. You can have both sides of the
Lads,
argument.
nobody's saying Eddie's now a bad manager. I don't
No.
think
No,
if
but
me
he
and Jeff
is.
has would sit here and say he's not a good manager. The problem is he's gone stale and he's done nothing to shake it up. We've all said, me and Win have even agreed that he should change his coaching staff. He should have done something different and, shaken things up because things have gone stale, and he just hasn't done it. And that's the sign of a good manager to an elite manager. They can tell when you need to change things around massively, and he's just not the guy to do it.
Club's outgrown him,
Yeah,
unfortunately, in terms of the journey
100%.
we're on. He was fit for purpose to get us up there, but in terms of keeping us there and then taking us to the next level, you need another manager. We've seen it happen at other clubs, your Man Cities, your Chelseas, even Liverpool. They tried to stick with Brendan Rodgers, who is a British manager. We are biased to British managers. I don't care what people say. And they realised in the end he wasn't good enough. They got Klopp in, and the rest was history.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. But
how's Slot working out for them now?
Well, he won in the Premier League last year. They've won more Premier League
with
than us.
Klopp's team.
Okay, so how many trophies did they win under Klopp then? And how many did they win under Brendan
They
Rodgers?
won a Premier League.
And then look, Ranieri at Chelsea finished second in the league, but they got Mourinho in. They didn't. It was good.
And then he went to Leicester and won the league.
And then what happened the next season when he didn't do well?
Relegation.
You got to go. Once you're beyond your expiry date, you just have to go. Football is a ruthless sport today, and there is no room for sentiment, I'm afraid, at the top level.
Yeah,
you could make an argument that Eddie Howe won if you're going down that route, you could argue the point that Eddie Howe won the Carabao Cup with some of Steve Bruce's team.
Yeah.
And 4 years on, but
no. Well, we weren't at the time, so we'll give him that. But you're saying he's won the league with his team. You could arguably make the same point with Eddie Howe that he won.
No, you couldn't.
Well, why? Because there was some of Steve Bruce's players in that.
Aye, how many?
Joe Linton, Shaw,
Jacob Murphy,
Wilson.
3.
4. I'm up to so far, and I'm trying to remember the team.
Shame on you.
Shame.
Yeah, you're using points that you can spin around the other way. Look at the football we're playing. Look at where we are. Is it good enough? No. Are we improving? No. Is how good enough? No. Then get somebody else.
Simple.
Well, I mean, even if
because you're saying no to all those questions, and I'm saying
you answer those questions.
Joe Willock. There we go, Tony. Joe Willock. Another one.
Willock. Yeah, go on. Keep them coming in the chat. That's fine.
I think
Will Kraft was in the squad.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a Brucey player.
I think what you've got to ask yourself is, even if Eddie Howe took a step sideways and had a new second man, somebody with another idea, somebody who can give him some instructions, another head to look through, rather than somebody he's been talking to for years and years and years and years, and it seems to be the same old, same old. So for me, you don't have to get rid of him. Just make a change, make something happen. Get a new new impetus into this direction that we're going, and keep Eddie Howe if that's the case. If the results are there,
But
and I
Gary,
think at the end of the day, this is a results industry.
Gary, I think the time for that's passed. I said that about 2-3 months ago. Yeah, I made the point on this channel that that's what we should do. We should be, and Wynne disagreed at the time, and then came around to the point. But Eddie just hasn't done it. You have to freshen things up at times. You have to go in with a fresh pair. And to be fair, we sit on here and we can see things that are going wrong, and we'll say this is what you should be doing. But there's nobody in that coaching team seems to be able to pick up on those points. I mean, even you with your analysis, which is great and brilliant. I mean, I don't understand it half the time, I freely admit, but no, it gives you a good idea of what's going on. Surely enough, the coaching staff should be picking up on that as well and going, Eddie, look, you're picking this, but look at these issues that we've got here, here, and here. And there doesn't seem to be that because they're all so integrated together.
Yeah, you're right. I think the biggest thing for me, if I'm honest with you, there's certain things that Eddie says about his players, and that's trust. I trust my players, and that's fine. Everybody has to trust somebody, especially when you're reliant in your job to stay in your job. How many other jobs do you know where you're closest to the sack as soon as you're employed in that position and you rely on other people to keep you in your job? There isn't any. That's why you get paid so well. So, for me, when you start saying, I trust my players, how far does that trust go before you start looking at yourself in a mirror and saying, if I continue to trust this person to do my job, because that's what they're doing, they are reiterating on that field what they're being told by me. And if it's not happening, if I'm not seeing what I'm asking them to do, then change it. There's only one person that can change, and that's Eddie Howe. And it's either the personnel that he's got working for him, or it's the personnel that's kicking a ball for him. So something has to give. And at the minute, I mean, the mighty, mighty Magpie there said, love Eddie Howe. We all do. We all love what the lad's done for us and always will. But he isn't evolving dynamically, neither is the team, despite his self-stated obsession with growth and development. It's baffling. And that's exactly where we are. That's why I said at the minute, there's nobody sat on that fence anymore. You're either in or you're out. And I think before there was a lot of people sat on the fence going, I don't mind, we're doing all right. I think now people are falling off that fence and going either side.
Geordie Hawayman's comment, perfect.
Go on then.
Why is it so wrong to criticise Eddie Howe? If you won't have a word said against him, then you're supporting the man, not the club. And we've said this.
Who won't have a word said against Eddie Howe?
Well, he's up
in this. One of them in the chat, aren't they?
Colties, wake up, mate. Wake up. You lot are brainwashed. Wake up. Yeah?
Let's do these what's the names?
I got to go, guys.
Miss one.
See you later, Jeff has made.
See you, Jeffo. Take care, buddy.
Peace.
See you, Jeffo.
Peace.
Always fun. Yeah, Tony T is saying, win never change, you stubborn nice man. And I won't. And I won't.
Exactly. And you shouldn't have to.
Oh.
Right then, let's do the last 15 minutes of tonight's show, because like I say, I am at the end of my breath now. I'm absolutely exhausted.
Gary, are you knackered?
I am absolutely knackered.
I'm knackered. I don't need a soundboard for that.
No, you don't.
We are knackered.
We'll be talking everything Everton. So, Shelley, the toffee girl, I want some input from you in the chat, because I haven't got a clue about Everton. I'm only joking. Give us what you think. We'll come straight back after this little spell.
NUFC Early Night News with Gary the Geordie Yum Yum, Andrew Boaky, and Derek the Mighty Win. Weekdays from 7:30 p.m. UK, 1:30 p.m. USA. NUFC Talk.
Right then, lovely people. Let's look at Everton. I believe they'll go the 4-2-3-1. I think this is, more or less the way they'll go. They've obviously had Gay. Is it Idrissa Gay that they had sent off? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think they'll go Mikalenko, Keane, Tarkovsky, O'Brien, Jay Garner, Iro. I can never say his name. Iragabunum, something like that. And then obviously you've got Dewsbury Hall, Grealish, and Beto up top. So then, gentlemen, who's in goal for Newcastle?
Well,
I mean, I've got more blue shirts here than I've got black and white on my screen. It's ridiculous. I'm going to go that one.
see, saying Ramsdale's going to get a start.
Well, like I said, it's criminal if you don't.
I completely agree with you. And not before time.
100% in my view. If he doesn't start Ramsdale, then in my view, he's a goner.
He's doing a rude. If he doesn't start Ramsdale on Saturday, he's doing a rude hullet with Shearer.
Yeah.
And he's putting his neck on the line right there.
I don't even think he's putting his neck on the line. Win, lose or draw, if he goes with Pope in that game, it's the wrong decision.
Well, you can't say it's the wrong decision if he plays Pope and Pope makes 3 world-class saves and we win
I really can, because he's watched.
You really can't.
He's watched. Well, I can, because it's my choice. He's seen him play in the games before, and the absolute shockers that he's made, the shocking decisions that he's made.
Well,
This time he's paying 100. He's put in a loan bid for a player. He's paying 120 grand a week for him. He has to give him the chance.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way, did you see the thing in the chat this afternoon about Ramsdale?
No.
Regarding, well, it was the fact that there is the option to buy in the loan deal becomes an obligation to buy if he plays so many games.
So many games. Yeah. But it's very similar to the Hall situation, I think, isn't it?
But hang on. That's a good thing for us. You'd want him to play them games, so we're getting a good keeper, a younger good keeper. If it is the 16 million for that amount of money. So that's not a negative thing. I would say it's a good thing and make him play.
No. But what happens if, for example, we start playing Ramsdale, and I mean, nobody could verify it. By the way, there was no verifiable source for it.
Now, I apologise. There is some swearing on the screen. So for anybody that's watching and is offended, apologies now. Or come and see me later and I'll offend you some more. Whichever way you go, but apologies. I'm going to put this TikTok on while we're talking, because this shows you some of the howlers, right? And I keep on saying, this has been put together by somebody on TikTok, and it's incredible. As many saves as the lad is paid to do, and he has done some cracking saves, I'm not saying he hasn't. He's made some absolute errors. So while we're talking, I'm just going to play this in the background, all right? There you go. Well, there's your classic one. Oh, there's another one. Look, over the head. And then he gets turned. He goes through his legs against West Ham, that was. I couldn't come out for the punch. That's 2 punches he's not claimed for. And then obviously you get that all over again. So, I mean, it is a bit criminal when you look at it constantly like this, isn't it? And I think, for any coach to say to yourself, are you lacking in a bit of confidence here, lad? Are you doing something that, we're not asking you to sweep out that far from goal or anything like that. But again, he's claimed nothing this season. He's come for punches that he should have caught. We've seen that. You look at the goal against West Ham, where he dives over the ball. The ball actually hits him under the forearm. He dives over the ball after not claiming the ball in the first place and making a dodgy punch. So it's not just one thing. It's been a number of things. So even off that little bit there, I will put Ramsdale in goal if I had my choice. But like I say, I think this leadership group has a lot to answer for anyway, because I think it's this leadership group that must be picking the side, not Eddie Howe.
It has to be Ramsdale in goal. It is Win was saying. And what was the point you were making about Ramsdale, Win?
Just that it hasn't been verified that about the clause, but if it is, so then you put him in, and you play him because I don't know what the number of games is, and you give him a run, and he plays the number of games which trigger the clause, and he's no better than Pope.
I mean, I must admit,
by having played him, you're then committed to paying 20 million for him.
No better. He's younger than Pope, so you still
you have got that.
You have got that little bit of leeway there that he is younger.
Yeah, and he's more of the assist type of goalkeeper with his kicking than than you get. I mean, like I say, you will lose a little bit of the handling, you will lose a little bit of the shot stopping, but what you get in the footwork should outweigh. Again, it's about developing a team around a style of play. And if that's Eddie Howe's chose him to come on loan, and it's something else that we don't really deal with a lot of the times, is the loan market, is it? So,
lads, should we move on with this team? Because otherwise we're going to be high-fiving Sam and Corey in the morning when they take over.
Can I just say, it's not about moving into the team. We've got no chance of winning if we've just got Ramsdale in goal.
That's it.
Which I'm sure everybody will be. Go on then. What's your back four?
Well, it's going to be Livramento, Chow, Botman, and Hall.
So you're going to bring Botman in, not Shaw?
I would say so. Yeah, Shaw's played 2 games on the trot. Burn could come in, whatever. But
I'm amazed with that from you, Win. I completely agree. I thought we were going to have an argument about Burn and Botman, but
I'm glad we've sorted the back four.
Yeah, back four sorted.
No, Burn played on Tuesday.
Yep. So we don't see him again.
Yet.
So then, midfield, does it change?
But he's left himself a few problems here because he didn't rest Botman or Tonali for that
exactly.
Week. So I think you've got to, if you're going into this, you've got to win. So I think it has to be Tonali, Bruno, and for me, I would play Ramsey.
Oh, okay. Not J7.
Not J7, but right. I don't know what wins.
I would be tempted to play Tonali, Ramsey, and J7. Bruno on the bench.
Be a hell of a statement.
To come on, yeah.
So you would...
But I think that's what he'll go with. I think he'll go with the tried and trusted. I think he'll go Bruno, Tonali, and J7.
If we're picking Eddie's team, then Burns in for Botman and Pope's in for Ramsdale.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Go on then. Let's go up top then before we go any further. And then
for me, it's Murphy, Voltemada, and Barnes.
For me, it would be Barnes, Voltemada, and Elanga.
You'd have Elanga with this one?
Yeah, I would give that lad a bit of a start now, give him a few chances.
Right.
But
I wouldn't be averse to that. But, what I want to see is if after 20 minutes you can see what's going. For example, on Tuesday we could see Murphy was having a stinker.
Exactly.
And he continued to have a stinker. And he can see that. We can see it. Why didn't he?
Why didn't
change
he
it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's it. But the thing is with Elanga, I think I get what you're saying when I completely agree. If Elanga had been playing well and he had a shocker, you would pull him off. I just think if you do it now, that's just his confidence completely gone. So if we play him, you've got to give him the chance. So maybe he's probably. Yeah. I never like to say this, but maybe you're right. Maybe you do go with Murphy because you don't want to knock that lad's confidence by having to hook him off after, as you say, 20, 30 minutes.
You've also got to think about what Murphy gives Tino. We saw Tino after the match against Man City, and he stated, "I love it when I've got Murphy in front of me because I know I've got cover." Grealish is playing well, I'm not saying he's on fire, but he's playing really well. And I think Grealish is one of those players. If you isolate him, like Elanga, he likes to go on his forward runs. I think Tino is going to be isolated a lot more with Elanga in the side. But you're absolutely right, though, mate. I think Elanga. We're coming into the run of matches now, where we are going to need the squad. And if you're going to start introducing players that aren't match ready, that aren't match fit, sharp, and everything else, and expect them to do something because you've paid good money for it, you're going to be upset. Because we all know that players sat on the bench for half a season nearly aren't going to come in and turn trees upside down. It's just not going to happen. So, like I say, we've got to start starting these players.
Yeah.
Whether you start them against Everton or what, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I can't see J7 doing 3 games a week. No. So Ramsey has to come in somewhere because
Gary, can I just win a quick question?
Yeah.
If he goes in with Pope in goal, Byrne at centre back, and Gordon on the left wing, not playing Ramsdale, not playing Botman, and not playing and dropping Barnes, does that then prove that he's got his favourite players?
Yeah, of course it does. He's not gone for, like I say.
I know you'll agree, Gary, because you're sensible. But the question was,
if you take him out,
does that prove to you when then he's got his favourite players?
I'll absolutely agree that it proves he depends on loyalty more than common sense.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I can see.
But then if he gets a result because he's got those players running through brick walls for him.
See, that's what I think my lineup it'll be. I just have this feeling that he'll go with Gordon and Murphy rather than Barnes, who's been absolutely killing it.
And if I'm honest, Gary, he'll put Pope in goal.
And okay, let's go with what we all hate and dread, but let's see where we are because we might as well do it.
Yeah,
I mean, I've even got Max Thompson now in my side here. Like I said, I've got more keepers than I have anything else. It's ridiculous. Right then, there you go. That's the potential to line up with a slight adjustment. Eddie Howe 5s versus a competent 11 that with a little bit of change. So please don't play.
That was a little bit controversial for you, Gary.
What's that?
Competent 11 against Eddie Howe's favourite.
It's like I said, when panelists with limited football knowledge, with no specialist equipment with us, can pick a side week in, week out, then there's a problem. If I'm honest with you,
100%.
There is an absolute problem, and that's literally. Please play Gordon. Shell says. I mean, even she wants Gordon in the side, and we know how good Gordon was the last time we played at Everton. Like I said, I am going to have to call it a night, guys. Like I say, I've got family all looking at me with beady eyes. Thank you all so much for staying with us. Like I say, it's been 3 hours. Like I say, it's been extended with me because Chris has been unavailable. We are back in the morning with the presser.
Happy Thanksgiving, all you American viewers.
So it's been fantastic. And thank you ever so much for everybody staying with us all the way to the end. It's been great numbers. If you can, before you go, if you haven't already, smash the likes for us. We have got a couple of
thank you for all the super chats from Wazza as usual. Tony T. Who else we had? That's it. Was on Tony T. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. It's been lovely to have you. It's been lovely to have my comrades, as always. Love them too. And Jeffo for jumping on board. Thank you ever so much, mate.
Cheers, Jeffo.
Like I said, don't forget to go and have a look at 90s.
The dark side.
The dark side, indeed. And well done again to the lads this morning, Corey and Sam.
And they'll be back on tomorrow, 8 a.m. And then we'll be back with Eddie's presser at 9:10.
Yeah, probably with the Aussie boys with us. You never know.
With the Aussie boys with us, yeah.
Indeed. So until tomorrow, it's a good night from them.
And it's a good night from them and them. How are the lads?
Yay! Lassies, you can do the other one.
And Ben's.
Yay! There you go. Take care, everybody. Thanks all.
Ta-ra.
Ciao, ciao.